And being surrounded by conservatives is like a nightmare where you're just like, dude, they're going to kill you. Like, don't jump in the hot lava. And you're just like surrounded by people who are like, no, you don't understand. Like, they told me the hot lava is actually like a molten lava cake and it's delicious. Like, I'm going to jump in the lava. And you're like, no, don't do it. I know people that have jumped in the hot lava. They've died. Okay. And it's a really gruesome death. Like, their body starts melting in real time. And you just have to sit there and watch them melt. And you're like, nah, lava is actually yummy. I think you're stupid. And I've heard other people jumping in the lava and eating a delicious molten lava cake before, and I'm gonna do you. Like, that's what it feels like. You're just like, no, dude, your life is gonna be worse. And he's right. He's like, they're actively destroying your future. Like, what remains of your future. The reason why you talk about the cost of living crisis and all this, like, all these things that are harming you is directly born out of deregulation and causing so much wealth disparity, and you're just actively demanding more of it. Nope. I'm going to jump in the lava. Shut up.
Thirds of our elderly out of poverty. So tell me what they're going to cut that's going to make it easier for Americans.
I already did.
What?
I told you the $175 billion that we've sent to Ukraine. We're no longer going to
So he's going to...
Yes, so Donald Trump has signed an executive order.
You've been voted out by the majority.
Thank you, sir.
Donald Trump is going to stop giving money to Ukraine, and then guess what, dude? We're saved.
Okay, so why did we see a higher increase in the top 1% paying as part of federal income revenue under TCJA?
Why did we see a higher increase in the...
So under TCJA, you know, it was passed 2017, right. It was effective 2018. 2018 and onward, we actually saw the top 1% pay more. They had more of the federal income tax burden. They paid 45% as opposed to Obama. During Obama's tax plan, they only paid about 40 to 42% of the federal income tax.
Because they got more money.
Right, okay, so they got more money.
They got richer.
But why are they paying, and why did they get richer? So this goes on inflation that...
I mean, that's my point, is the rich are getting richer.
Right, but why would you say that they're getting richer? But you mentioned inflation? Or?
No, they're not, well, I mean, I think that
I do want to mention something, but like, Sand Fact Check is owned by a wealthy billionaire, you know. If you're feeling some type of way about some of the fact checks. In the first term of the Trump administration, the share paid by the top 1% ranged from 39% to nearly 46%, as opposed to under the Obama administration, the taxes paid by the top 1% ranged from 35 to 39.5%, okay? That is because the wealthy, the top 1%, accumulated more wealth in the process. That hasn't even changed, really. And that's probably going to still continue. If the bottom 99% have more wealth overall, they would contribute a higher percentage to... This is not individual tax burdens, okay? This is not an effective tax rate. They're not talking... Don't get tricked by these percentages. They're not talking about the effective tax rate to the individual in the top tax bracket. What they're talking about is what the 1%, the top 1% of wealth, and how much they paid in taxes overall, as an overall percentage of income tax. Okay? This is not an appropriate metric of the overall taxes that were accumulated in the process, and it is a very deceptive, underhanded way to approach the subject matter. If your argument is about destroying wealth inequality and bringing back some kind of parity, okay, this is an awful metric to look at, because this basically proves Sam Seder's point, which is that, yes, the top 1% grew wealthier and wealthier. And in the process, as they were growing wealthier and wealthier, the amount that they contributed to the coffers in the lower tax rate that they got was higher overall. But the reality of the matter is, in terms of the effective tax rate at the end of the year for a wealthy person, that percentage is incredibly low and gotten even lower. the effective tax rate for you as the average American is like close to 50%, whereas the effective tax rate for someone like Warren Buffett is like what, 0.06 or some shit like that. So overall, this number doesn't mean anything other than the fact that yes, the top 1% became wealthier overall and therefore contributed to the overall sum in a higher percentage. Having said that, if there was more wage parity or if wages that actually adjusted across the board alongside productivity, for example, and there was less income inequality, then the top 1%'s contributions to the overall taxes, the overall taxable revenue coming from federal income taxes would be far smaller. Yeah. The easiest way to debunk this figure is to say if the top 1% had 100% of the wealth, then they would pay 100% of the tax burden. Thank you. Exactly.
Inflation? Or
No, they're not. Well, I mean, I think that the inflation, to the extent that there was money that wasn't a function of like logistics and other problems that we had during COVID, yeah, the rich got richer. Not all inflation is a function of monetary inflation.
That's true, but when we look at COVID and we can see that they increased the money supply by 40%, they added $6 trillion, and you have a Federal Reserve System that's doing quantitative easing and pumping stimulus into the economy, you can attribute that to left-wing policy. The entire Federal Reserve System is Keynesian economics. Those are very left-wing.
Well, I can tell you this: inflation went up in Western European countries the same rates that it did.
That had stimulus.
No, they didn't have the same level of stimulus that we did. No, they did.
They absolutely did.
They did.
You can look at Japan. Yeah, I hear this topic all the time from the Democrats. They say, "Oh, inflation was global." Not true. China never went above 3% inflation during all of COVID, and they were actually they were under deflationary pressures. Japan, which is part of the G7, was also never had deflationary pressures. They never had inflation increase. The only countries that had inflation increase. I'm talking in
Western Europe. You
like
could see inflation. Well, you could England, Germany, Italy, France. They didn't stimulate as much as we did. It wasn't monetary inflation. If you look at the cost of goods and logistics got screwed up because of COVID.
So let's look at the reason. All international trade, because we're the world reserve currency, is done in U.S. dollars. Because we experience it, domestic inflation was high.
So dude, these fact checks are coming in so fast. In a study of advanced economies, the inflation rate at least doubled from early 2010 to early 2022 in 37 of the 44 countries. In 16 countries, the inflation rate quadrupled. Okay, so that's 1 point for Sam.
Inflation. If you look at the
second,
all international trade, because we're the world reserve.
China's annual inflation rate has been below 3% since May 2020. Japan suffered from economic stagnation from 1990s through 2021, resulting in deflation. It is often called Japan's lost decades. Japan is not an adequate comparison, and neither is China. Obviously, our economy is closer to Western European nations, which did see tremendous rates of inflation.
Currency is done in U.S. dollars. Because we experience it, domestic inflation was high.
So you're saying our inflation caused higher inflation
absolutely,
in Europe?
because
that's not what economists say.
Well, you can look at the facts. International trade is we have dollar-denominated international trade. All international trade is that's why we're the world reserve currency. You guys claim that the U.S. recovered faster than anybody else. It's like, well,
it did.
It's because we have a privilege of being the world reserve currency, and we export our inflation. Like the strength.
We export our inflation.
Yeah, and let me explain that. Let me explain that the U.S. dollar is the most safe asset in the world. In times of great crisis and great volatility, like COVID crisis, everybody turns to the dollar. Sure. Many currencies are tied to the dollar. So it's like when you
the euro is not tied to the dollar.
The euro is not, but international trade. So if the euro actually crashed against the dollar during COVID. The euro used to be above the dollar.
I'm unclear what your point.
My point is that the inflation is caused by left-wing policies, and
so inflation was caused by, you're saying,
supply shock and pumping trillions of dollars into the economy.
First of all, you understand that the Federal Reserve.
Inflation is never caused famously by any fiscal policy, because the only fiscal policy that ever happens is not leftist fiscal policy, but right-wing fiscal policy, which is tax cuts. Inflation can only be caused by monetary policy, which this guy is saying is leftist, okay? Printing money is a leftist principle. Tax cuts are also inflationary, but of course he won't recognize that, or he won't mention that, because that would undercut the point that he's trying to make, which is that leftist policies are are what is causing inflation. Yeah, famous socialist Jerome Powell and his fucking and his inflationary policies.
Is not part of Biden didn't have control of the Federal
Absolutely
Reserve.
not. But the entire Federal Reserve System is left-wing in economic theory. That's the
Oh my God, bro, that is crazy. American monetary policy is left wing. Is hilarious to me. That is insane. JD Powell equals JD Pond. Keynesian economics is left wing. I mean, from his worldview, probably. Yeah, if you're like a Friedman truther, then yeah, you're like, that's the most left wing thing I've ever heard. There's nothing beyond that point.
Keynesian economics. It's interventionist economics. So
you're saying that the
more you
quantitative
stimulate,
easing,
the more you stimulate. Yeah.
Why didn't we get it through QE?
We do get it through
Why
QE.
didn't we get inflation during the
2008?
Obama
We
years?
did get
when
inflation.
We didn't get
The wealth gap that you guys
Excuse me.
attribute.
Wait.
We absolutely did.
What numbers were inflation?
From 2008 to 2014, the Federal Reserve did quantitative easing, buying up treasuries to increase the money supply. Okay. The rate of inflation back then was nowhere near comparable to the Brandon admin.
We get during the Obama years that were outside of like the 2% sort of Fed target.
I don't think it was as high as COVID. COVID hit as high as 9%.
No, it wasn't even remotely
right,
close.
But when we look at the effects of compounding inflation.
QE1.
For most of the Obama admin, consumer price inflation hovered around or under 2%. In summer 2011, annual consumer price inflation briefly rose to 3.8, driven by higher food and energy prices. By spring 2012, inflation was back below 2%.
2 and 3 all happened during the Obama years. If your theory was correct, we would have had rampant inflation. In fact,
We did.
Glenn Beck was talking.
No, we didn't. We did not. We did not have that. That is crazy to say we did. I mean, he doesn't. I don't know why he's saying we, because he's like younger than me, so he definitely doesn't remember it. But
Talking about how we were going to turn into
did not-
Weimar Germany,
But
and
here's
none
the
of
thing,
that
but
happened.
here's the factors you're
None
missing.
of it.
Here's the
And
factors you're missing.
So if you
We didn't
look
close
at
down
what's
the
happening
economy.
at Western Europe, well, no, listen.
We didn't close down the
closed
economy.
down the economy
The
around
Biden administration
entire
closed down the
world.
economy.
I understand.
No, they wasn't.
wait, what?
Wait,
the entire
excuse
world.
me. The Biden administration.
Yes, they forced mass.
Wait, is he saying that the Trump administration's actions were also like it should be attributed to Biden? Or does he think that Biden was the shadow president when Trump was president?
Mandates, they supported Democrat.
Wait.
They supported Democrat
Do you
states.
not remember who was president in the first year of COVID?
What? Yeah, it was Trump. I'm not.
Right.
So I'm not saying Trump. Trump had a role in this, but I'm saying.
Well, wait a second. By the time in 2021, the economy was.
See, you don't understand. Jerome Powell is famously a Maoist. And he was actually not appointed. He didn't rise to power as a Maoist under Trump. He was actually under the secret mind control of the other Maoist, Brandon. Okay, all decisions made during COVID in an effort to do COVID recovery was actually the Brandonian mind control. Okay. All the printing, all the money printing, all that was actually Brandonian Maoist mind control. This is Mao Zedong thought. Mao Zedong Brandonist thought. You understand? That's how it works. Jerome Powell is a Republican, a registered Republican. But that's besides the point, I think, because that's a secret. That is actually to cause you, a simpleton, to not realize that he's actually an Irish Republican and a Maoist. And the appointment was actually Trump that was also under the mindset of Maoist Brandonist thought when he was doing shutdowns.
Opening back up.
Yes, the economy.
All of what you're talking about.
No thanks to the Democrats.
Well, okay,
the Democrats wanted to keep it closed.
Okay.
So
okay, you can talk about hypothetically what the Democrats want, but
it's not hypothetically. We can look at we can look at their mandates. We can look at them closing down.
The economy closed down in 2020, March of 2020.
Well, okay,
Okay.
sure.
Donald Trump was president.
Pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please return
Thank
to your
you.
seat.
Good job.
How's it going, sir?
Good. How you
Ryan.
doing, Sam?
Finally, dude, the Amish get a say in this. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear an Amish person's position on Trump's policies making the rich richer and the working class poor.
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
When you're talking about like inflation in
Talk to me, Ezekiel.
2021, Janet Yellen said it would be transitory, and then again in 2022 she said it would be transitory, and it turned out to not be transitory. And then one major thing happened in 2022. I think we all know what that was. That was the war in Ukraine, and I believe, and I can explain that the war in Ukraine was explicitly caused by Joe Biden's bad.
Oh my God, I was wrong. This dude is just from Dagestan. My apologies. I thought he was Amish. It turns out he's Dagestani. He's going to connect it all to Brandon undermining Russia and also Dagestan. My mistake.
Foreign policy, and that shot inflation up from, like, there was already pretty bad inflation in early 2022 and in late 2021.
Yeah, his parents sent him to Dagestan for 2 to 3 years and forgetti. Yeah, that's what happened. He learned how to grapple with the best of them, okay? He's back, and he's grappling with Sam Seder's mind right now. One phone call, brother. Brother, one phone call. Send him to Dagestan for 2 to 3 years and forget.
But it shot it up from the low kind of margins in like 3 or 4%, all the way to 9% in 2022 of July at the peak.
Jedediah Nurmagomedov. Yeah.
Inflation is now down around 2%, around where
Yeah, in between 2.5
yeah,
and 6.
where they're looking to get it, and we have really close to record unemployment that we've had over the past 4 years. But how does this have to do with Trump's policies not making the richer richer and the rest of us poor?
Okay, so what I was just explaining with, I was going to get into oil prices. So oil prices skyrocketed in 2022 because in 2021, when Biden got into office, he shut down our Keystone pipeline, shut down all new oil and gas leases in America. Then he took the sanctions off.
We are producing right now more oil in this country than we ever have in the history of any country everywhere.
Yeah, I know.
On top of the fact that Biden is credited by oil traders, and this isn't something that I am terribly excited about.
What did he just do on the East Coast?
Apparently,
What did he just sign?
what Biden did during the past 4 years is he used the strategic oil reserve to drive down oil prices and essentially broke and it's filled back up.
Drained our
and
entire
he filled it back up, and he broke the negotiating power and the price setting power by oil countries across the world.
Really,
I mean, oil traders hail him for doing this, and frankly, I don't think it's that impressive. But let's talk about what Trump's policies are.
We only have a little bit of time left, but I was getting to that. So oil prices in 2021, Biden took all the sanctions off of the pipeline in Russia, and then the pipeline in Russia ran straight through Ukraine originally, and he knew that if he invaded Ukraine would destroy the pipeline, and his economic success would be destroyed in Russia. And then when the sanctions,
Biden or
Putin knew that would occur in Russia if the sanctions were taken off of that pipeline. And Biden took all the sanctions off of Nord Stream 2 in Russia, like the second week he was in office. And then a year later, Putin invades Ukraine. Sanctions happen all over the world, and inflation rises within 6 months all the way up to 9%. Trump is going to do great things with oil and let us drill, and what that actually...
I don't know if there's any way to have a conversation with this person, because he's just making a lot of assumptions about what Trump will do, and also fantasizing about how the things that he's assuming Trump will do will end up being very positive. He also said that Biden, I didn't understand it. Was he saying that Biden was too soft on Russia and Trump is going to be harder, kind of? Like what? Or Biden released the sanctions on Nord Stream 2 and that's what caused inflation? How would that even work? I don't know what I don't understand. Or is he saying that Biden was conspiring with Vladimir Putin? What?
actually does for the economy.
Like I say, we are producing more oil
Yeah,
in this country than any country in the history of the world.
What executive order did Biden just sign to have to do with offshore drilling in the East Coast?
He stopped it.
Yeah, really dumb idea. We're about to begin a new.
Well, so you want to go beyond even the record-breaking thing?
Yes, I
Are
want to
you
become
aware
energy
of
independent,
climate?
and that lowers inflation.
We're going to
which
sell
makes
this
the economy
oil.
better.
We don't use the oil. We sell
Yeah, we're gonna-
it.
yeah,
we sell
getting
it.
money in the
We
pockets of
sell
American
it.
citizens.
We sell it. Well, how is that oil getting to the pocket of American citizens?
Because when you lower the prices of oil, that lowers the prices of all
I
products.
I understand that the
you're
inflationary prices effect of energy, but the fact of the matter is, they're just going to sell it.
Yeah,
They're
we're
not-
gonna be-
they're
we're
not
gonna
gonna
be-
sell it.
yeah, so we're gonna
You
be-
want to produce even more oil than we are
Right,
now.
yes.
And you don't think climate change is going to impact? You don't believe in climate change?
Well, that's a whole nother discussion, but no.
Well, I mean, it's sort of the same discussion.
Yeah, no, I believe that climate change is, well, there's obviously an element of climate change that is partially true, but lowering or
Which
raising,
part of it?
Raising the man-made raising temperatures by 1 to 2 degrees Celsius in the next 150 years isn't necessarily a detriment to society. Human beings
You don't think so?
He's like, yes, back in my home country, Dagestan, it's no problem. It rains, it's snow, not so much snow is good. I learned how to wrestle. It's very good. Now I wrestle outside. No more snow in mountain. In Dagestan, it's fine. A little bit. It's a little bit, 2.5 centigrade. Up there, high in the mountain, it's very cold. Lots of snow. No more snow after climate change. It's very good for me.
No, human beings are very good at innovation, and we can build seawalls, and we can create carbon
What kind of
technology.
seawall are you going to build?
What the oh, that's amazing. Conspiring with Vladimir Putin to drop sanctions that invade Ukraine, to goad Ukraine into blowing up the Nord Stream? Yeah, no, you don't understand. His mind works in a mysterious way. He has gotten... Now I do believe he got choked out in Dagestan far too much and lost oxygen to his brain for far too long. And that's why he's making up these insane these insane statements. He's also popped off so hard, people aren't even hitting the red flag right now because they're just like, where is this gonna go? We wrestle bear, brother.
From Miami. What are you going to do about
There's
when
a
we
bunch of
don't
research
when we
on
get
it. I'm talking about the economy right now, which if we get back on topic.
All right, guys. Sorry, time's up. I let you
Yeah,
go
no problem.
longer.
Amish Dagestani. First I thought it was Amish, but then he started talking about how Biden and Vladimir Putin were doing a grand conspiracy to invade Ukraine together. Then I was like, maybe he's Dagestani.
I choose Ben because he let me lecture him about Social Security.
My claim is that abortion is immoral and should not be legal.
Abortion is immoral and should not be legal. Are Zoomers whole ass gone? Like, are they done? Is it over? Is the project over? No, right? Like there's polls on this stuff, right? Like they're not, this isn't like, this is far from the average Zoomer thought, right? That's not, this has got to be like unique. This is a self-selecting group of Zoomers. I don't want to think. But that's a boring fact versus fiction debate. It requires nothing to back up its claim. It's free. Zoomer here, bro, is mostly the men. I think one day scientists will study what like the Andrew Tate style phenomena did to the mind of the average Zoomer man, like the podcaster, the state of podcasters and what it has done, like the permanent damage it has caused to the collective psyche of Zoomer men. Also on top of that, I think COVID too. If there are scientists that remain at that point, because I feel like they're all going to be underfunded, they're going to cut science in general. No more scientific discovery. No more of that. That's woke and gay. So if there are any scientists that remain, Joe Rogan, Andrew Tate, COVID, yeah, it's podcasts, dude. I think podcasts have done like lead poisoning levels of damage to the minds of Zoomer men.
Yeah, I disagree because largely because I think the primary rights that we have under a society should belong to the person, and I don't believe a fetus is a person.
Okay. Okay, so that's very interesting. You don't believe the fetus is a person. When do you think that it gains personhood, in your opinion? Would you agree it's a human life, at least?
Yeah, I guess.
I don't care about this. I just think that like a philosophical debate about personhood is unproductive, especially when you're talking about the legislative agenda. Okay? Like that's not how legislation works. You can't like having a philosophical conversation about personhood is fine and dandy, but the moment that you actually let that philosophical conversation or disagreement set the legislative agenda for what people can and can't do to themselves in their own bodies, well, that's when we got problems. Okay? You can't, like, it's ridiculous. You don't know. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's supposed to be about harm reduction. And obviously, making a woman carry a pregnancy to term is causing great harm to an existing human being with life experience, with loved ones and whatnot. It's a tremendous amount of harm that you're forcing upon the carrier. It's ridiculous. And the legislation that comes along with that, like the restrictions that come along with that, actually are incredibly consequential, incredibly damaging, because there's plenty of people that even this dipshit would agree should be able to get a right, should be able to get an abortion, like medical intervention that is an absolute necessity. That's who is being harmed at the end of the day. I also do think, jokingly, that if a little pill can X out the fetus and you just like kind of pee it out, you know, you just kind of bleed it out, then, you know, that's not a life. I'm sorry. It's barely a life when it's outside of the womb. You know what I mean? That's a weak ass baby. You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about? You got to no womb, no opinions, please and thank you. Okay, these are two dudes having a conversation about abortion, and a third dude that's also, you know, looking at the conversation that these two dudes are having. Everyone's a dude. Everyone's a dude. If you can eat a pill, by the way, someone said good stop joke, and that's crazy to say because the whole eating a pill and pissing out the baby is like a thing that I've been saying for years, okay? That's not a Stavros joke. You probably haven't been here for long enough to hear me say this. Here come the mother say abortion pills are not benign. There are definitely pills you can take that would one-shot you, though. Nah, I'm built different. Bro's never heard of cyanide? Nah, I can survive it. I mean, a cyanide pill can also take you out a person, so your argument makes no sense. Okay, eat a abortion pill. Will it kill you? No. My point proven. Yes, there's obviously poison pills like cyanide that kill the average person, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about a pill that specifically causes something that is not a full fleshed out human being to basically turn into dust inside of the womb. Okay? If you're like this big, okay, and your carrier eats a pill and you're a clump of cells and you turn into a heavy flow period magically over the course of 24 hours, then you weren't a human being. What the are we talking about? I'm sorry. The comparison of cyanide pills are stupid, okay? There's no other process in which like you take a pill and then someone else dies. What are we talking about? You're on a good point. Stop losing what you actually mean. Like, you imagine you just, yeah, I took a fish oil pill this morning and then someone next to me just dies, okay? It's crazy. Crazy.
You could say that. I mean, yes, I think that's, I mean, largely, I think that claim is largely like, it's not relevant to the way that I think about it. I think about it in terms of personhood. I mean, I think like, you know, life exists all around us. And
not human. Well, I mean,
not
human life,
human
but
life.
not like there's
Right.
not human life in a tree. Correct.
Right, correct.
Okay.
And
So it's human life.
it's human life.
But it's not a person?
It's not a person.
At which point does it gain personhood
I think-
and gain the value of being a human?
Well, I think it becomes a person when it's born.
Why? So 5 seconds prior, it's not born yet, not person. 5 seconds after exits the birth canal, person. Is there a magical?
Yeah, I hate this. I hate that there's a magical distinction. Like, who cares, man? No. It just doesn't matter. This is not how we do legislation, okay? This is why the argument is so dumb. I don't think it's a person after it's born, okay? How about that? How about that? What are you going to say about it? Dumbass baby can't make a sandwich. Dumbass baby can't hold a conversation. Get the out of here. Baby is not a person until like 5 or 6, okay? I don't want to hear no Google Gaga ass bullshit. How about that? Yeah, can't hold his dumbass head up. The hell, got a soft spot. Literally has a soft spot. Has a button, okay? All right, let's keep going.
Equal quality to the birth canal? What is that?
The person becomes separate from the host that has been that it's been growing inside.
Okay, so would you assign that to other human beings that are attached to things? Like, for instance, if I'm attached to a machine, am I a machine now? Am I part of that machine, or am I still a human life? I just need support in order to stay alive.
If you've never been born and you're growing in, let's say, a test tube, for instance, then yes, I would argue you're not a person yet.
Okay, so then, but it's not really the disconnected part. It's the being born part.
Well, being born means being disconnected from your mother.
Okay, so you're specifically aligning having the quality of being birthed as what makes someone a person.
Person within the context of like our society.
I mean, yeah, that is the legal definition. That's why your fetus doesn't count as a person. You know what I mean? Until it's out of your womb. So, yeah, Sam is taking a legal position here. That baby ain't nothing until it's got a social security number, okay? Sorry, I don't make the rules. You know who does? The federal government. You feel me? Yeah, no, your votes don't count as two. There's no babies being counted in the census. Yeah, no certificate, not a person. That's it. Sam Seder should say it's his belief based on Judaism. I know. You could kind of lock a lot of Republicans with that as a Jewish person. Low key. It's kind of a superpower in that regard.
Society and civilization.
So just in our society, you wouldn't say that objectively that's a person. You would say that we just decide that it's a person because it's a birth.
Yeah, rights we give to persons. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess that's an interesting kind of definition of what human life and specifically personhood
Well, no,
is.
I don't. I'm conceding that it's human life, but that you're not a person until you're born, and you do not have the same rights that we would give. Look,
well,
we have rights about cruelty to animals, for instance.
I mean, our legal arguments to define who is a person in good stance. No, we're just not really entertaining the philosophical concept of personhood, which is not necessarily definable. There is no consensus surrounding it, and that's not something that you can use to craft legislation. And because it's a wholly unproductive subject matter when you talk about the morality around abortion, but more importantly, the legality around abortion, that we like to have fun with the argument and make silly arguments. Because if you were to legislate around arbitrary designations that change from person to person, that there's no established consensus on, not even scientifically, then it would be completely ridiculous. Okay? It would be just as, that person's argument around personhood is just as ridiculous as me saying a baby is not a person until it can entertain me. Okay? It's just the difference is a lot of people think that his position sounds a lot more reasonable. Neither of these positions, and his position is closer to reason than mine because I'm obviously joking, but report for hate speech, can't report him for hate. Somehow his reports are getting denied. Off Hassan, you scumbag, report for hate speech. Wow, we got a real abortion illegalizer in the chat. Just spamming it. You know, when you say report for hate speech, that doesn't actually work, right? I have to literally do hate speech, and you can't just type it out. Also, why are you admitting that you're abusing the hate speech report tool in the chat? Are you a baby? Am I doing hate speech against babies? You might be mentally stunted like a baby. Did somebody poke your soft spot? Is that what happened? You did, and it refused to report. Wait, what was my hate speech? Report for hate speech, XXX. The only fun position is supporting recreational abortion at all stages of life. Agreed. But did that previous chatter understand my point? Which is that if you're advocating for the legality or illegality of abortions, then the conversation can't be centered around concepts such as personhood. Okay? It can't. You have to, that's not how legislation works. You have to look at harm and who's being harmed and how to mitigate said harm. And if you understand that the carrier is being harmed in every single case where a carrier is forced to carry a pregnancy to term, then yeah, you can't abortion illegal. It's ridiculous. I asked this person what my hate speech was, and he just said, "You did," and it refused to report. I want to know what he thinks I said that was hate speech. The scientific answer to this question, real heartbeat brain function, is about 7th month of pregnancy. Yes. Or viability outside of the womb is another argument, but it doesn't matter because ultimately, then you arrive at, I'll show you. Then you arrive at, like, okay, if scientists can like carry a pregnancy, if scientists can offer viability outside the womb at like 2 months, then is that appropriate?
Right? But they're not persons within the context of our society.
I'm not saying that they are, but specifically, it seems like you're just kind of saying, oh, it's a person when it's born, but you're not actually providing any consistent reason for that. You're just saying it just is a person.
I'm saying that on some level, there's a certain amount of like arbitrariness as to when we give rights. Like one could say, like, do you say it's at conception?
Sure, yeah.
So IVF, in other words, would have to be illegal under your principle because
I mean, I'm not sure that I would agree with IVF in that case. It really depends on the particulars in that case. But I believe.
Well, what do you mean?
Why? What do you mean? It depends on the particulars. What particulars? IVF is a literal fertilized egg. There's literally baby genocide happening inside of test tubes on a regular basis. Hello? You can't. Like what? This is the problem. These guys don't have any sort of moral consistency anyway. At least I admit, I'm like, I don't know what person is a person. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? I don't want like random women to have to carry pregnancies to term because I understand that that process is sometimes deadly, you know? Why would you do that? If I could get pregnant, I would not want to have the government restrict what I do in that situation. Like, it's that simple. It's literally basic empathy, you know? I just don't understand how so many people still are like, nah, you don't understand. It's immoral. You're doing murder. I was like, shut the up, dude. You're the one who's advocating the murder migrants coming into the country without proper paperwork. And you're over here talking about having a whole ass thing inside of you growing, sucking up your life force and because that's the difference between someone who wants to have a pregnancy versus someone who wants to have an abortion. That's the difference. It's up to the carrier. The moment that they don't want to have this pregnancy, it's literally an invasive force on you. It's so stupid. It makes no sense to me. These guys literally are like, oh, if someone breaks into my house, they're about to suck lead, okay? Meanwhile, you're literally also simultaneously advocating for the government to be like, not even like someone breaking into your house, someone growing inside of you. And you just have to possibly die in the process of giving birth to this thing. Like, get the fuck out of here. This guy, by the way, instead of showing me, just said that I agree with. I think they meant I agree with your statements about abortion. We're slowly bringing this chatter back to life. He's slowly recognizing that I wasn't doing hate speech. I was really excited to see what he considered to be me doing hate speech.
Well, so for instance, at conception, you would still be a human life, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the fertilized egg attached to the uterus. So
is it human life for you or what?
It's human life, yeah.
Okay, so human life should be protected.
Yes.
Okay, so IVF.
Yeah, I would say that
So IVF should be illegal under your rubric.
No. So they're human lives, correct?
The IVF is when the egg and the sperm in that and then they're supplanted.
Yes.
Is it when is it human life?
As soon as it has unique human DNA. That's
okay.
a human life.
Okay, so
it's a new human, correct?
Now in the IVF process, there's stuff that gets thrown out. Like,
yes,
you would consider that.
Yeah,
murder.
I'm not even defending IVF or going against it. I'm specifically saying abortion. That was my claim, right? I'm not going to argue IVF.
But isn't that abortion under your principle?
I would say if you get rid of human life after conception, I don't think that's moral. I'm not going to argue the IVF particulars because that's not what my claim was, right?
When we're talking about laws, right, because you want to outlaw abortion.
Yes.
Correct? Okay. When we're talking about laws, it's not just morality when we form public policy around and create laws.
Not just, but it should be moral, correct?
Well, I mean, I think like your
should have been
definition of what constitutes moral and mine are different. For instance, I would prefer in a perfect world not to have abortion on demand until, up until birth, right?
Sure.
In a perfect world. However, we know in practice that when you start to restrict things, like say, only in the threat of life to the woman, let's say, that's the only way we're going to allow abortions, right? When you start to have these exceptions, they're in practice, they don't work, because when your life is in jeopardy and you come into a hospital, the doctor doesn't see a bulb that shows up above you and say like, your life is in jeopardy. It's always a subjective assessment. And what does life in jeopardy, hold on, what does life in jeopardy mean? Does it mean a 30% chance of death? Does it mean a 50%, a 70%, or a 20%? That's why we now have women who are dying, because doctors are afraid to perform abortions on them. That's true.
Are you referencing, just because some doctors misread plain text doesn't mean that that it's
when you
all of a sudden
pass
that life
laws,
is less valuable or more valuable?
No, it means that you are subjecting the woman to more risk, and it's impossible. These exceptions are all, they're canards.
No, Christian.
When you oppose a law, it is not just about morality, it's in practice.
Sure,
in practice,
I understand that.
You cannot do this without sacrificing women.
There we go. There we go. Bringing it back. That's how laws are written, or at least in theory, that is how laws are supposed to be written. Okay? That's it. That's why so many Republicans that go abortion is murder are like, but also in cases of incest, it's not murder any longer. Why? It's still murder, dumbass. Why are you lying? If you truly believe that it's murder, and you should not believe in IVF. You should make IVF illegal. You should literally advocate to force pregnancies born out of incest and make these little girls carry pregnancies to term. The reason why you don't advocate for that is because you understand that there are exceptions. And the reason why you understand that there are exceptions is because it's not murder. Deep down inside, you also understand you just don't care about what happens to women broadly. And that's the reason why you're like, okay, it's murder sometimes. I hate it. I hate that. It's just, you said abortion is immoral and should not be legal because you think it's murder, but you don't actually think it's murder. There are some who do, but those people are real freaks. What do you mean? Oh, well, abortion is murder, but sometimes murder is awesome. Okay, what a stupid position you have. I guess, I guess you don't think it's murder then. Like, what? This is why, considering the actual financial restrictions and the medical restrictions and the medical intervention necessary for third trimester abortions, that is a self-selecting group of people who actually were trying to carry a pregnancy term and had to get medical intervention that's necessary, which is why even the conversation around late-term abortions is a red herring. It's a silly distraction. Oh, late-term abortions. Like, no, dude, there's no woman is carrying a pregnancy to almost term to then be like, now is the time for me to baby. All right. Hell yeah. Can't wait to get this insanely invasive procedure done to me. That's going to cost like $40,000 minimum for fun. Psychotic. Yeah. It was awesome. I was throwing up for 7-8 months. Okay. And felt like all the time. And my back hurts all the goddamn time. And on top of that, it's an incredibly costly procedure. And it's also invasive. Sick. Definitely doing that for fun. You're a psychopath. Conservative policies, or at least like the harm that they perceive as happening, is literally always invented. And it's so psychotic that all you need to do is make someone describe who's doing this thing in the hypothetical, okay? Who? Like, you think that there are people out there who are like, I'm pregnant. I'm going to carry this baby for 8 months, okay? And I want the thrill. I want the thrill of someone scooping out the fucking body parts of this fetus from my pussy. And that's the reason why I'm carrying this pregnancy to, 8 months, 8.5 months. And not because it is an immediate medical intervention that is necessary to save my life, okay? Like, you are psychotic. You are a psychopathic individual if you think that people who have actually carried a pregnancy for 8 months are actually doing it for fun.
Women's lives because
What
of
about the
your
unborn
morality.
children, though? Because let's go back to your born thing.
Unborn children
So let's
are
say
not
you have a
persons,
you have a 9-month.
and the mother has more rights, in my mind, than the unborn child.
Yeah, that's a claim
The
that you can
fetus.
make. But so a 9-month birthed child, or just 9 month and just now born, it's a newborn baby. A 5-month could be emergency C-section and could be birthed, right? Let's say they don't do that. What's the difference between the arbitrary choice of taking that child out of the womb at 6
Why
months or
don't
5
we
months?
take all children
no, what I'm
out at
saying,
5
No, what I'm
months?
saying is that the personhood just because of birth runs into a problem where it starts to say,
All right, guys.
well,
My dad would say it's because the woman is being irresponsible. What is your dad saying? What, like, that doesn't, so your dad, honest to God, is like, no, a woman is such a dumb broad. This hypothetical woman is such a dumb broad and so vicious that they literally their body up for 8 months just to all of a sudden remember that they're pregnant. Like, what is the argument there? It just doesn't make sense. Do you understand? Third trimester abortions are incredibly rare, and the only reason as to why it happens is due to a medical necessity. Okay, some kind of first of all, there's no place where, even when they say no exception, third trimester abortions, okay, because there are some states where they say there are no exceptions, like you can get a third trimester abortion. Okay, those people are still locked out of that process when. Those people are still locked out of that process due to the financial and medically invasive procedure of getting a abortion, okay? No one is actually doing that unless there is severe harm to the carrier. There's no reason to try and legislate that by being like, nah, it's actually illegal until there's a medical necessity. Because in the process of legislating third trimester abortions, okay, we're not even talking about, second trimester or, the first trimester where like 90% of abortions happen anyway, where you take a pill, boom, okay, heavy flow period, it's dead, okay? This is not a real thing, okay? It's this. But like, if you're talking about legislating third trimester abortions, for example, you are creating unnecessary paperwork and unnecessary hurdles for doctors to clear, okay? And in the process of clearing these unnecessary hurdles, doctors are sometimes going to refuse to do an abortion on someone who needed it. And in the process, the carrier is going to die. Now, the kid is dead and the carrier is dead. Good job. That's how it works. So in order for random people to not fall through the cracks, I say there's really no reason to try and legislate this. It's just you're only doing it to make yourself feel better. Like you're actually stopping something that is not actually happening. And in the process, because you've invented a problem in your mind, and now you made it everybody else's issue.
I hate to do it, but I got to do it. I'm sorry. That's time.
okay. Hey.
I'm glad I was here. It was interesting. I know my questions were more sort of policy oriented, I think, than maybe folks anticipated here. And I was a little bit surprised that there wasn't many people here who could address the policies. They were very, very sure of themselves as to why they voted for Trump, but a lot of it was sort of not material in any way.
So there was stuff that conservatives were saying today that I fundamentally disagreed with my entire heart, but at the end of the day, we're still part of the conservative movement. So I think there are people that I disagreed with, there are people that I completely did agree with, but the cool thing about this new conservative movement.
Yeah, there's also the other side of this, by the way, which is obviously legal restrictions on abortions don't actually make abortions more rare. It just makes them more dangerous because guess what? At the end of the day, it's still up to the carrier. That's right. So, you know, you don't want a coat hanger abortion, okay? You don't want back alley abortions. It's so stupid. And before people say, oh, well, you know, murder is illegal and people still murder. Yeah, there's a difference, dumbass. It's not the same as like going out and actively killing a person.
And the people here today it's people from all different walks of life sharing their perspective.
I don't think Sam had any, like, at least when I was speaking to him, I don't think Sam really had great responses because the reality is not on his side. I don't think socialism works. I think social programs can be good up to a certain extent, but we are very socialist as a nation, and yeah, I mean, I'll just say it again. Socialism does not work.
Oh, sick. That's a good note, man. Thank you. Yeah, socialism doesn't work, but America is very socialist. All right, that was an experience. I am reminded as to why I had a blanket embargo on the Jube, regardless of how much chatters will come in here and actively try to get me to watch the Jube. But that was rough. He also got arrested in Paris. Also committed in a jail. What are the odds? What are the odds? Guess what? The cameras weren't working there too. I am losing it.
Joining me now.
This is the craziest way to cover the Jeffrey Epstein situation. What the? Are they just like bored and they ran out of takes? That was wild, man. I don't know. It's as close to an open and shut situation as you're going to get with like a lot of understandable curiosity surrounding the parts that we do not have verifiable evidence for. And they still found a way to talk about it in the weirdest way possible, where he's like, well, you know, you got to get into the mind of a pedophile, right? He said he doesn't think Bill Clinton is a pedophile.
Attorney David Schoen, he was hired to represent Jeffrey Epstein 9 days before Epstein died. He's also served as one of the President Trump's lawyers for his second impeachment. David, good to see you. You previously praised the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, for, as you called it, seeking transparency in the Epstein case. What is your verdict now that the DOJ says nothing to see here?
I don't really recall praising her for that, but I'm sure I did if you say I did. I think that the thing has been handled clumsily, quite frankly. I think that they jumped the gun. I think they spoke before they knew what they had. I think there's a certain level of hypocrisy from Congressman Khanna's position now. Where was he?
Oh, yeah. No. It's not that they're terrible. This is the perfect analogy. It's like looking at the JFK stuff, right? And then arriving at the most insane position, which is, I don't really think JFK even died. It's like looking at 9/11 and being like, oh, actually, it didn't happen. Sure, there are people who are that insane. Not many of them exist. Their minds are fascinating. But he's like, oh, yeah, the Epstein stuff, it's probably, I mean, none of these guys were even pedophiles, probably.
During the last 4 years, the Biden administration, we know, for sure that they had all of the same records. Remember, Ms. Maxwell was prosecuted by Mr. Comey's daughter and others. They've had access, a lot of people have had access to all of the papers related to Jeffrey Epstein. But I think it was handled clumsily. I don't believe there's a client list. I don't believe Jeffrey Epstein planned to blackmail anyone. I don't believe Jeffrey Epstein was in the employ of the Mossad or any other intelligence agency or any of these crazy Tucker Carlson theories that are going around.
Well, you say that you asked Epstein, frankly, if he had any dirt on President Trump. What did he tell you?
He said absolutely not. It was an important issue to him. This was before I knew President Trump at all, of course. This is 2019. I don't suggest that our conversation was limited just to that.
Sure.
But
Yo, I don't trust this guy at all, bro. That's crazy. This dude, David Schoen, Don't Google David Sean Trump. This dude was Jeffrey Epstein's last lawyer. Jeffrey Epstein hired him, or the family trust, like, I guess, whatever, hired him 9 days before he died. Okay? I'm already incredibly suspect on this. Oh my God, he's Bannon's lawyer. Oh my God, he was Bannon's lawyer. Oh my God. He was Steve Bannon's lawyer. And he represented President Donald Trump during his second impeachment trial of the United States Senate. Oh my God. Oh my God. It was Steve Bannon that got him, this guy probably. Oh my God. The cogwheels are turning in my mind. Dude, Steve Bannon has 15 hours of deposition footage of Jeffrey Epstein. That's another guy that is incredibly involved with Jeffrey Epstein that kind of doesn't get additional scrutiny. Steve Bannon interviewed Jeffrey Epstein and has 15 hours of Jeffrey Epstein footage. And initially, what he told Jeffrey Epstein was that he was interviewing him to basically set him up for trial, like to coach him on deposition. Bannon also said, Steve Bannon also said that he wanted to use the footage for like some documentary or something. He never released it. He never released that footage. He has 15 hours of Jeffrey Epstein footage out there. Suspect he was the one who linked this guy up with the attorney. According to Michael Wolff's book, Steve Bannon took part in a media strategy sessions with Epstein, his lawyers, and Ehud Barak, gaming out how they could restore his image after the 2018 Miami Herald series. This led to Bannon conducting 15 hours of prep interviews with Epstein. Yeah. So where's the comms piece in this? Asked Bannon over the phone. Who's handling it? Who's on point? Are these your people, Reed? Well, okay, in fact, there really hasn't been anything in place because largely the view has been, let's not call more attention to this or antagonize the judges this has been before, and not wanting to be seen as attacking the victims, so we haven't. Let me get this straight, said Bannon. I think I understand this, but it strains credulity. There's nothing in place. There hasn't been anything in place. No communications teams. What was the response from Jeffrey's side to this Florida story? Who engaged? In 2018 of November, Miami Herald had published a multi-part story recounting the earlier charges against Epstein with further devastating accounts from the victims directly impugning Acosta's motivations in the plea deal. If every successive story about Epstein over the years had once more revived what might seem to have been a fading issue in the new climate and now directly tying figures in the Trump administration to Epstein, the Miami Herald story gave it rocket boosters. We didn't engage, said Epstein. Did we even know about it? Asked Weingarten. No, Roy Black's office may have gotten a call, but we didn't respond, said Epstein. Black was another world-class criminal attorney who had been among the dream team that Epstein had assembled in his first case, a team whose warring egos Weingarten believed had a lot to do with the case's peculiar and ever unresolved outcome. I'm part of the problem here, I have to say, Weingarten pulled on his face. We have just felt, and maybe this was wrong, okay, wrong, that any effort to defend Jeffrey publicly stirs the pot and makes it more likely than not that people are going to come out of the woodwork. This is crazy, said Bannon. Well, yeah, true. It's 90% bullshit. Steve Bannon then continued, according to Michael Wolff's book, continued in doing media training sessions with Jeffrey Epstein and has, once again, 15 hours, by his own admission, 15 hours of Jeffrey Epstein tapes that he personally recorded, where he's like interviewing Jeffrey Epstein. He's doing like a mock trial, a fake deposition in order to get him ready, in order for him to get ready for trial. And it's crazy to me because Steve Bannon himself has been able to get away with it, weirdly enough. What?
You know, lately there's been a lot of...
Dude, come on. Is Jamie Dimon on the list? Yes, of course Jamie Dimon's on the list. Bro, JP Morgan literally had to pay hundreds of millions of dollars to the victims of Jeffrey Epstein for their direct involvement with Epstein. $290 million.
This was at a time in which it would have behooved Mr. Epstein to give up every wealthy and famous person that he knew in his own defense. And so specifically, I asked him about Donald Trump because, you know, they had been publicly associated in the past, and Trump threw him out of his club years earlier. He said absolutely not, and it was important to him that people not cast aspersions on Donald Trump and others who we spoke about by wrongly associating him with any of his activities. Remember, Jeffrey Epstein ran...
Wait, what? I'm sorry, what? You know you're talking about a prolific trafficker of children, right? See, you don't understand. He had a moral side to him. See, you don't understand. Jeffrey Epstein, prolific trafficker of children, but also a real A person who really cared about the truth and did not want Trump to be associated with his crimes at all.
With a lot of wealthy and famous people, people whose names, everybody knows. The fact that they might appear in an address book doesn't mean that they did anything nefarious with him. He had a photo array, for example, some of these rich and famous people with different stories for each photo, which I very much enjoyed hearing, quite frankly. For example, a picture of Bill Gates with a dollar bill. I asked, what's that all about? He said he made a bet with Bill Gates. What was he going to bet Bill Gates? So he bet him $1 and he won. Those kinds of things. But that doesn't mean that any of them had anything to do with the women. I would say one last thing I want to say about this, this call for a special prosecutor and so on. There is a cottage industry of lawyers representing victims against Jeffrey Epstein and the Epstein estate. You can be sure that if any of these famous people who haven't been sued already were with these young women, the young women would be able to identify.
Why is CNN having Donald Trump and Steve Bannon's lawyer, who also happened to be Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer? Like, what? Shouldn't you call in the question this guy's reputation here? Hold Richmond, Ort Gove Richmond. That's not. Why'd you lie about Diddy? Diddy never raped anyone. It was proven that everything was consensual in the trial. Do you think 12 jurors all thought he was innocent of rape off vibes? There was no evidence of Diddy raping anyone. Stop reading headlines. Perhaps I personally have an opinion that the trial was a sham. Are you Diddy? Like, who the what? Excuse me. O.J. Simpson very clearly was exonerated of murder. Why are you saying that he still definitely did that shit? Really up. It's kind of crazy because, like this is perhaps the most guilty, worst guy. He said free Diddy. Okay, man. Diddy absolutely coerced people into doing sex acts in many of his parties. It's crazy to me that you assume. It's crazy to me that you're like, well, the jury didn't seem to think so. So I guess, okay. It's so obvious that he had an incredible legal team and was able to do tremendous work against the prosecution, which overextended. And they lost the case. That doesn't mean that we can't make up our own minds about it. This is first this was Kevin Spacey. First it was Kevin Spacey. Now it's free Diddy. What's happening, bro? I've seen the tapes in my own two eyes of Diddy beating the out of his girlfriend. I saw it in a goddamn bathrobe.
Them, and the lawyers would have brought a lawsuit against them a long time ago. So if what people are waiting for is some smoking gun that someone famous, Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, and so on, was with these young women, I don't think there's any such list, and he never intended any blackmail.
Well, let me ask you, if everything you say is true, and you've laid it out quite precisely, why is none of this believed by the supporters who say, I don't trust the government, I don't trust DOJ, I think there's something there, and those who are elite are getting away with something else?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's because they were told, we're going to release the entire file and there's such and such and such and such. I think that it hadn't been reviewed.
But wait,
frankly.
David, I don't want to, hold on. But when you heard statements like Pam Bondi, for example, saying, I'm reviewing a client list on my desk or otherwise, you heard people talking about client lists and beyond. What did you think? Did you think that there was some reference that you had not heard of or that it was all make-believe?
I didn't think there was a client list. I think what she meant was that she had a file on her desk.
Bro, this guy's tell is so severe. He's blinking like they're flashing lights in his face. He's just he's blinking so hard anytime he has to say some shit. He's Morse coding that he's lying.
That she was reviewing. I think their position now is they reviewed the file. There's no smoking gun about blackmail and so on. They also came to the conclusion that he committed suicide. I don't happen to believe that.
Why?
I can't prove it and they can't prove it. I don't believe it for two reasons. Anecdotally, as I say, I met with him 9 days before. I know that during the course of that week, he was giving instructions right up until Friday based on the defense that we had talked about. He gave me another assignment that was forward-looking. But more importantly, Michael Baden, who to me is the top forensic medical examiner in the world, went through an independent medical examination with him just after he died.
I mean, it's his lawyer. Of course, his position is that Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. He's arguing that, right? Isn't there he brought in a forensic examiner to specifically make that case.
With the assistant New York City medical examiner, and Michael Baden said that medical examiner couldn't come to a conclusion, and Michael Baden, has never in the tens of thousands of autopsies he's done seen injuries like Jeffrey Epstein had consistent with suicide. I also have had calls from people who had jail cells nearby. I've seen the layout of the jail cell, that sort of thing. I'm also surprised the Justice Department never never interviewed me, who had seen him earlier, or other people. Anyway, it's my belief, but I can't prove it, and I don't have a conspiracy theory on who killed him.
Well, a DOJ Inspector General report did cite a combination of negligence and misconduct and jail staff failures that contributed to an environment that led to Epstein's death. But it states the New York Medical Examiner determined that Epstein died from suicide. That DOJ IG report adds the FBI determined Epstein's death was not the result of a criminal act. So I'll see what they might respond to what you've said as well. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Laura.
I want to talk more. Nice to see you too. I want to talk more about this with Scott Jennings, who is a CNN senior political commentator and also host of the Scott Jennings Show on Salem Radio, and Alencia Johnson, former senior advisor to the Biden 2020 campaign. All right, you heard the way that he laid out just now, and of course he's said all the things that I'm sure the DOJ would like people to believe, but it's not sticking for whatever.
Oh, she don't believe it. Oh, okay, I'm back in. Okay, Clinton News Network. She said, I'm sure the DOJ would love for everyone to believe what he's saying. Yeah, she was looking right at him. She was looking at how much. What's your opinion on the suicide thing? Oh, dude, he got clapped. Get the out of here, suicide. Okay, dude, sure. Yeah, he just got real sad all of a sudden. It was like, oh, man, I'm outed as a pedophile. Oh, like, dude, what are you talking about? He went to jail last time. No, I don't believe he committed suicide in the incredibly specific time frame where the cameras happen to not be working and the guards happen to be sleeping, where literally all the planets aligned, and he was able to commit suicide successfully in a suicide cell, in a suicide watch cell. And then the government decided to release the camera footage of not even his cell, by the way, just the cell block that he was on, not showing his room suspiciously. And even that footage had 3 minutes missing. Get the out of here, dog. Are you crazy? Because the cameras that were looking at his door were broken. And it wasn't the last time this happened. The reason why he was on the suicide watch, the suicide ward, was because he was put into a cell with Officer Nicholas Tartaglio, this roid junkie cop, former cop, who was a psychopathic drug dealer who, let's just say, tried to kill him as well. But then they also said, oh, that was suicide. He tried to commit suicide. And guess what? We don't know the exact details of that one either, because the cameras were broken on that one too. Oh no, broken cameras twice for one guy. They move him around and the cameras break again. What a crazy coincidence. What an incredible coincidence. It's just so wild. Also, the same institution that he was locked up in had not had a single suicide for the past 30 years. Jeffrey Epstein had to be the first guy. Wow. Yeah, just like Jean-Luc Brunel, Jeffrey Epstein's associate that created MC2, like modeling agencies, where he routinely sex trafficked women for Jeffrey Epstein. He also got arrested in Paris, also committed suicide in a jail. What are the odds? What are the odds? Guess what? The cameras weren't working there too. I am losing it. Wow. What are the odds, dude? Isn't that crazy? How does this keep happening?
Reason. Why is this the political?
Jeffrey Epstein's former cellmate cleared of wrongdoing an incident that preceded his death. Yep, Officer Tartaglione, baby.
So many are willing to die on. Why is it that there are so many people who say, nope, I don't believe it, I don't trust it?
Well, it was taken as an article of faith for many years. That
what was
that? You know, this
I don't
the
know,
idea
you're
that there's
sounding like a conspiracy theorist. The Jeffrey Epstein stuff is so funny because you have to be a conspiracy theorist to believe that he killed himself. Okay, like every single thing that I just mentioned to you, as far as like cameras literally breaking suspiciously, no matter which cell Jeffrey Epstein is in, whenever they keep saying that he actually killed himself or tried to kill himself. And then you just, like, you have to sound insane. Everything that I just described to you, as far as, like, cameras breaking, his associates also, quote-unquote, killing themselves, but in Paris, all of this stuff, like, yeah, you think all of that happened on its own? Like, it was, you know, there is a reasonable explanation for this? because I don't entertain conspiracy theories with regular frequency. I love conspiracy theories. I cover them all the time. You know I'm fascinated with it. But there is one thing I don't do, which is entertain conspiracy theories. Think of the, I don't lend it any sort of credibility. This, on the other hand, is not a conspiracy theory. This, on the other hand, is basically just a conspiracy, like as in to conspire to kill Jeffrey Epstein, because Jeffrey Epstein was conspiring with numerous intelligence agencies to do a blackmail sex trafficking of minors ring.
Information that we're not seeing as the general public, and people said that, bought into it. And so Donald Trump wins the election. He appoints Pam Bondi, he appoints Dan Bongino, he appoints Kash Patel. These are all people that this same audience has, confidence in. We trust their judgment.
Like, please, guys, explain to me why prolific pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, that literally had been in prison already and had been released after his sweetheart plea bargain deal that no one has ever gotten, okay? Please explain to me why he was closely associated with not one, not two, not three, not three, but four former Israeli prime ministers. Can you please explain that to me? Why was he the middleman that connected Benjamin Netanyahu, the current prime minister of Israel, to J.P. Morgan by way of Jamie Dimon? Why was Ehud Barak, the former Israeli prime minister, literally at his house in 2016 trying to cover his face? Really bad at spycraft, by the way. Just a horrible job trying to cover his face, coming out out of Jeffrey Epstein's New York mansion. Why was he hanging out with Bill Clinton all the time? Why did Bill and Hillary Rodham Clinton routinely go to his mansion in New Mexico called Zorro Mansion? Why did they always go there? Why were former CIA heads literally talking to Jeffrey Epstein all the time, long after it was known that he was a pedophile? What reason could there be for this? Why is some random dickhead who was like a math teacher that was hired for the Dalton School by Attorney General at the time of Jeffrey Epstein's assassination, Bill Barr? Bill Barr's father hired him to be a teacher at the Dalton School. He didn't have the qualifications for it. Why did he mysteriously get, with no degree, an endless amount of money from the likes of Les Wexner, for example, the owner of L Brands, Victoria's Secret, and many others? Why? Why did he have quadrillions of dollars, dude? Why? No one has ever been able to explain why he had quintillions of dollars. Literally, no one explains it. There is no explanation for it. How did that happen? How? Power of manifestation? He found it. Felix Biederman has an explanation for it. He calls it, he just won the lottery every day. That's Felix Biederman's explanation. Is Jeffrey Epstein was just so good at winning the lottery, he just won it every day of the week. Yeah, what was it? Is it that he was just like really giving really good tax advice? Like, why would Bill Gates talk to Jeffrey Epstein, man? Bill Gates, one of the richest people on the planet. What the is Bill Gates doing with Jeffrey Epstein? What is he doing with Jeffrey Epstein, dude? Was he getting tax advice from Jeffrey Epstein? What kind of lived experience does Jeffrey Epstein have? What can he offer to Bill Gates? Was he just a great conversationalist? Stephen Hawking.
And I think it's just hard sometimes to believe something for a long time and then be told, you know what we believed is not the case. I think
who is that hurt though? If that's the changing view, if the idea is, I don't trust what I've heard right now. Does that?
Yeah, like, look. So here's one other thing. How many Dems actually realize that the crank theory is that Epstein blackmailed politicians on behalf of Mossad? Trump's own Labor Secretary, Alexander Acosta, who was a U.S. attorney for South Florida when Epstein was prosecuted, was told to lay off because he belonged to intelligence. But yeah, sure, it's a crank theory because it doesn't fit the worldview of Atlantic Magazine. Felix Biederman, the logical, sane opinion. Jeffrey Epstein made hundreds of millions of dollars by winning the lottery a lot. He befriended Mandelson, Clinton, etc. due to his great manners. After that, the DOJ erroneously believed the then unknown conspiracy that he runs blackmail for intel and gave him a completely unprecedented deal for a horrifying series of crimes. After that, accused rapist and private equity titan Leon Black gives Epstein hundreds of millions so Epstein will help him with his taxes. Then he killed himself in jail. This is what you want. Like, if you are to believe the media narrative on this, if you are to believe the New York Times on this, What Felix is saying is what has to make sense. Jeffrey Epstein, once in a lifetime lottery winner. Nobody knows exactly how he made so much money. Nobody fully understands it, okay? People just keep handing him the keys to the castle over and over and over again, okay? Literal prime ministers are attending his home. Like, they're going to his home, even though he was already at that point outed as a pedophile, okay? It's so crazy. They just keep doing it. Why? So charismatic. The most charismatic person of all time. Prince Andrews, okay? Princes are going to his house. All of this stuff happens. He gets the most unprecedented deal for a pedophile sex trafficker it will never happen again, okay? It's crazy that, like, this is not even something you can get out of as, like, a super wealthy guy. Like, Harvey Weinstein went to prison. You know what I mean? He's super wealthy. He was super powerful. He went to prison. You know what I mean? Jeffrey Epstein was doing Harvey Weinstein shit to minors, bro, to minors. And he was allowed to leave the prison. How did that happen? Have you always held this view? What? Yes. Or is it a recent change? What? No, you've been in here subscribed for 2 months, chatter. No, for years I've talked about this shit. What are you, crazy? Epstein was such a popular subject initially because there was literally no way to deny something was going on. I just don't get what the point of even pretending that it's some fantastical QAnon thing at this point. The only people who are even openly amenable to it are probably real life friends with Glenn Dubin and Leon Black. Like, it makes no sense, man. It makes no sense. Forgive me, I only know the basic outlines, but what is the ostensible reason for his wealth? Generic investments. He bought CSGO skins before anyone knew there was going to be a market there. He also, as Felix also points out here, not only had hundreds of millions of dollars from other disgraced sexual assaulters, but he literally got power of attorney over Les Wexner, the owner of L Brands, okay? The guy who owns, like, Victoria's Secret and shit. Like, think about that. Think about that. Why the would a billionaire just literally give him unlimited power and control over all of his financial assets, bro? That doesn't make, no one is supposed to ask a question on this? Like, this is not weird? Hassan, more like Hassopstein. Keck. But, like, if you understand that he didn't commit, then why do you think they aren't withholding the docs? Like, do you think some outside force killed him, but at the same time, there's nothing major in those files? What? No, they're never releasing the files. Wake up. What the? Trump is literally saying they're not releasing the files. Why would they release the files? They killed the dude. He was the only loose end. And I suspect, like, they just are convinced that Ghislaine Maxwell won't say anything. Maybe Ghislaine Maxwell will also get in her feelings soon. And we'll see what happens then. There was never a moment where I thought that they were going to release the files. But, like, if you understand that he didn't commit, then why do you think they aren't withholding the docs? The angle that these people take is so obvious. Oh, you were saying the opposite thing. They say he didn't commit, but they also aren't covering it up because they don't want to seem too in line with the admin. Yeah, okay. You were making the unconvincing argument that the administration is making. Yeah, it's like Jeffrey Epstein, innocent, okay, but also killed himself because he was really sad. But also he's innocent and there was no one else, even though we know hundreds of people have gone to his island. Hundreds of incredibly wealthy people have been on his private jet, including former prime ministers of Israel, other leaders. Your live reaction to Epstein's death? Oh, come on. Epstein's dead? Come on. Like, there was never a moment where I entertained the notion that there was a sex trafficking ring operating out of a goddamn bape in D.C., okay? There was never a moment where I ever entertained the idea that, like, Wayfair was selling children. As a matter of fact, many people have yelled at me throughout the years for never entertaining idiotic conspiracy theories. Jeffrey Epstein is not one of those things. That's a real thing, okay? Like, that's crazy. There are psychotic conspiracy theories hallucinated by people who are mentally unwell. And then there are real conspiracies, okay? Not a conspiracy theory, but an actual conspiracy to conspire to commit crimes. And this is one of those things where it's like, there are so many people. It doesn't make any sense.
Harm Trump in the Republican Party? Does it harm Trump in particular?
Look, I don't know. I mean, there are certainly people that have legitimate questions about what happened. I mean, I've heard now 2 lawyers, both your guest tonight and Arthur Aidala, who I was on with Friday night, both raised questions about whether they believe he even committed suicide. So you can see there are actually in the know people who are still raising legitimate questions about this case. So you can see why the general public would also have those questions. At the same time, if you vote for Donald Trump and you have trust in his judgment and the people he's appointed, at some point you have to trust their judgment. I mean, you put them in charge of this. And I think what Doug said is important to know. The Biden people had this stuff. If there was something incriminating about Trump, it would have come out. And also now the Trump people have this stuff. And if there was something incriminating about, Bill Gates or Bill Clinton, it would certainly have come out. And so I guess at some juncture, if you trust the people that you voted for, you trust the people that you voted for.
Well, let me ask you, I want to play for you as well some of what the supporters this weekend were saying during the Turning Point USA conference. They told CNN this about the Epstein file. Listen to this, Valencia.
I think they're going to maybe give us pieces and maybe not the whole thing and think that that's going to suffice. And I don't think people are going to be quiet about it until they really do it. But who knows if we'll ever know the true story.
Well, I think that if they don't release the Epstein files, whatever J.D. Vance says then is irrelevant because it's like everybody's going to take it as like a lie because of what Donald Trump did. But I think J.D. Vance wants these files released as well.
And this is the first topic that all of us as Americans, not as Democrats, not as liberals, not as Republicans, are actually lining together and saying we all want the Epstein files. And I said, come on, Donald, give us those files.
Well, Matt, you hear what they're saying, Valencia. Obviously, there's an issue about the trust, about transparency, and about how this might impact the ability to set things straight. You also heard from the daughter-in-law, Laura Trump, who was saying that, suggesting there might be some need to
come on, Donald. I love that guy.
Have more transparency. Is the political pressure working to Democrats' advantage?
Although James Elefante is a deeply creep-ass human, no matter what the fuck's in his basement, no normal person makes jokes about babies like that. What do you... Oh my God, dude. Stop. Are you still Pizzagate guy? Really? Is that the guy who owned the pizza shop? Is that what you're saying? It was crazy. That is actually crazy. See, this is what I mean. There are things that are just like insane. And Republicans too, like they're just getting together and they're like, they have to fuck children. And the only place to get the children, the pizza shop. Comet Pizzeria. Like, that's crazy to still be advocating for this in 2025. Oh my God. Comet Ping Pong Pizzeria or whatever the no.
I think that's what you see Democrats trying to use, right? It's this conversation around trust. The Trump campaign made a really big deal about the Epstein files. J.D. Vance was talking about this on the campaign trail. Pam Bondi was talking about this. They had people walking out of the White House with these binders talking about the Epstein files. And so they were stoking their base around this conversation, around this, big gotcha moment. We're going to show you this list and show you.
The thing is, if you really care about Pizzagate, you can read those emails on WikiLeaks and there's nothing in there. It's the most boring, hey, let's meet here and get pizza type emails every time. I know. But you see, pizza is code for a child that they want to have sex with. Once you substitute the word pizza for child, Hillary Clinton wants to, all of a sudden, or hot dogs, as a child Hillary Clinton wants to have sex with, all of a sudden the clues are right there. Or maybe it's for pizza, dude, and also hot dog. Like you didn't crack some major conspiracy.
In these files, and then all of a sudden did a bait and switch, and Democrats are using this as a moment to say you actually can't trust them to do the thing that they said that they were going to do. And I think
does it risk being backfired on them though, in the sense, to his point, and I've heard others say this very notion, Valencia, that
is Hillary Clinton a pedophile too? I feel like we always hear about Bill, but I didn't know she was going to the New Mexico ranch. Yes, I mean, I don't know if she's a pedophile, but she was going to the Zorro Ranch in New Mexico, the Jeffrey Epstein Ranch, with Bill.
Democrats had it before. Some people have accused Democrats of essentially sort of dangling something as a setup for Republicans or those who are...
Dude, I love you, and I'm a leftist, but Pizzagate is like 80% real. Dude, do you think that like these guys are just like sitting in the Situation Room and just like fucking children that they hired, that they literally got delivered from a pizza restaurant? Like, are you fucking stupid? What? There is no evidence for any of this shit. What do you mean 80% real? You are out of your fucking mind, dude. $65,000 in rented pizza. Oh, I don't even remember the Comminoids Rising. Oh my God. I don't even know what you're trying to say. Rented pizza. Pizzagate is the dumbest 4chan meme, with the basis being cheese pizza has the same acronym as was used as a replacement for child pornography in the early 2000s. Basically the same dumb origin as QAnon and the same dumb people fell for it. Yeah, it's so fucking nuts. It's so fucking insane. Like, there are real horrific crimes that powerful people commit on a daily fucking basis. And these dumb fucks will just be like, nah, you know what's the real secret conspiracy? Tom Hanks has been cloned. And every single Hollywood personality is actually secretly a pedophile. And Donald Trump arrested all of them and assassinated them and then cloned them. And now all of the people that are walking around in Hollywood are just clones of their former selves. How? What is happening? You're just schizophrenic, dog. Get help. Seek out help.
Leaving this, what do you say?
I don't think Democrats are making this as big of a central issue. I think it's one of the big pieces of a broader puzzle, right, about the trust with the Trump campaign. This is not the central issue for Democrats, but it is just a piece of this puzzle as we're going into some special elections, our Virginia gubernatorial race. All of these things to talk about, you can't trust Donald Trump and the Republican Party to do what they say they're going to do. And here's another example of that. Not the central example, but another example.
Something the Democrats don't realize Mamdani saved them from is that if Cuomo became mayor of New York, the party would have looked like massive hypocrites to male voters they're already struggling with. Liberals railing against microaggressions, but exonerating a sexual harasser. I mean, I don't think the people care about that as much. And I don't think the Democrats care about that as well. Oh, Andrew
Just
Cuomo. We got New York mayoral race news, by the way. Andrew Cuomo has come out and made a statement, a demand from everyone else that's running in the race. And he said, we all are working to take out Zoran member. And he will drop out of the race if he's not ahead in the polls. And he demands that Curtis Sliwa and Eric Adams do the same.
Day after announcing he is officially running as an independent, a very different Andrew Cuomo hit the campaign trail today. And that is where political reporter Marcia.
This is, by the way, I mean, something that we knew already, which is these guys obviously exclusively care about not letting the left win, right? And this is proof of that. But it is crazy that, like, they're just doing it so openly. And under normal circumstances, the same moderate Democrats that constantly say, shut the up and vote for us, you dumb, are quite literally saying, like, no, you don't understand, actually. It's perfectly valid to put up contenders against Zoran, even if that same person handily lost the Democratic primary. Like, the vote blue no matter who guys definitely did not want to vote blue no matter who, it seems.
Kramer caught up with him. She's here in studio with the news about a very different Cuomo this time around, Marcia.
Yes, Christine. Well, I think Andrew Cuomo learned a big lesson when he lost the Democratic primary. If you're running for mayor in the 21st century, you probably have to run a 21st century campaign. And in the social media world, you have to do social media. But Cuomo also made a big and unusual promise today.
How about this one?
Just call him Andrew Cuomo 2.0, talking to voters at a Harlem coffee shop as he reinvents himself as an independent mayoral candidate seeking a do-over of his crushing loss to Zoran Mamdani. He was tailed by a social media crew and insisted he's so intent on preventing a Democratic socialist from taking over the city that he will step aside if need be.
I don't want to be part of a suicide mission. And if Adams is a stronger candidate, I'm not going to be a spoiler. And I'll defer.
So if you're the strongest candidate, are you going to talk to Eric Adams and say, don't go on this suicide mission?
I think everybody will say that. Look at the math, right? You divide.
It's kind of crazy that they're openly saying it, right? Like moderate Democrats, very openly trying to collaborate with the Republicans. They're a progressive Democratic candidate here for a fairly big race, for a fairly big seat. Mayor of New York is quite significant. Is not shocking if you're aware of how things have happened in the last 2 decades of American politics. It still pisses me off that they're doing it in broad daylight. No, this is not a Bernie 2.0 situation. This is if Bernie had actually won the primary. It's worse. This is not a Bernie 2.0 situation because this is as if Bernie won the primary and now you have Democrats who are actively trying to create a spoiler situation to Bernie because they're afraid of socialism. It's even worse than that. At least with the Bernie thing, like, they were successful in stopping him in the primary. It's really up. No, because they created a spoiler situation to prevent him from winning the primary that he would have otherwise won. I know. But at the end of the day, Bernie lost the primary because they them. Now they're just like openly, like, there's a difference between the primary season where Democrats can, obviously engage in some kind of trickery and reduce their numbers in an effort to like put the votes all together, and then successfully through that ratting initiative take out Bernie before he wins the primary. Now it doesn't matter. Zoran is the Democrat. Zoran is the Democrat. If you're a Democrat and the Democratic primaries ended and you lost, there is no spoiler candidacy. What do you mean? He's the Democrat.
Up the vote, you're just making Mamdani the candidate and the mayor.
And what about Mamdani's appeal to younger voters? Don't you think that his appeal to younger voters was that he appeared to have fresh ideas, that he was thinking out of the box?
Look, do I think they were new sounding ideas? Yes. Do they have any connection to reality? No.
Yeah, really pie in the sky ideas like rent freeze, no, never been done before, can't happen again. Free buses, never been done before, can't happen again. Both of those things have happened in the past and will continue to happen. Ridiculous shit. What the fuck is wrong with these people, man? They think you're so stupid. They want to kill your hope. They want to kill your dream. Okay? That's it. That's what these guys are predisposed with. That's all they care about.
And what everybody really wants is not a cool idea. They want a solution.
Cuomo is offering expertise and his proven ability to get things done. But Mayor Adams is also going to be singing that tune, and a spokesman tells CBS News New York that Adams has no interest in stepping aside, especially if it's based on polls. We should never forget that these same polls had Andrew up by 32 points, and he lost embarrassingly by 12 points, said a spokesperson. This is a campaign about results, not resumes, and on that, Mayor Adams wins. Mamdani celebrated his endorsement by DC 37 and met with city business leaders worried about his left-leaning policies.
I go into that room knowing that there will be disagreements, and also of it is a belief in the possibility of this city.
And in a surprise development, Cuomo got a boost from none other than President Trump.
No, I think Andrew would have a good shot of winning. He's got to run a tough campaign. He's running against the
from one rapist to the next, Listen, he's a real go-getter, okay? He doesn't take no for answers, just like me. Just like me. Doesn't take no for answers, that guy. Oh, he's so good. Loves molesting, loves fondling. I mean, he's molested a cop. Can you believe it? A cop. A member of the law enforcement community. A Leo.
Communist, I would think that he would have a good shot of winning.
Now, Team Mamdani offered a tongue-in-cheek congrats, wondering, quote, whether Cuomo will embrace Trump's support publicly or continue to just accept it in private. Now, there's no indication he's done either. And when Trump was...
What? Oh, my gosh. Shut the up. There's no indication he's done either? What do you mean? Every single Trump booster was boosting Cuomo in the primary, and they lost. What do you mean there's no indication he's done either? There is all indication that he has accepted donations from and support from every single Trump booster, every single one. That's crazy. The same PACs that were boosting Trump and were the same entities that were boosting Trump were pumping millions of dollars into PACs against Zoran Mamdani.
Asked who he's going to endorse in the race, he said, I don't want to say. He didn't mention either Republican Curtis Lewa or Mayor Adams.
This is going to, I don't think that we can underestimate just how interesting these next few months are going to play out.
It's, I said yesterday, buckle your seatbelts.
Yes.
Every day there's another twist and turn.
All right, Marcia, and you'll keep us posted. Thank you.
Oh, this was funny. This is a funny moment. I had this ready to go on the docket.
I think.
Do you think that Mamdani is an anti-Semite?
Yes, I do. I think that when you're in the streets, after what we saw took place on October 7th, when you're in the street either the next day or days later and don't immediately denounce it, when you're unwilling to talk about global intifada.
Dude, if you're gonna lie, the least you could do, if you're gonna lie and act like this is a scary term, the least you could do is say it correctly. Once again, they think you're stupid, okay? Except in Eric Adams' case, he is actually stupid. He has, he is genuinely stunted mentally. Like, that's not, I feel like I'm being a little ableist when I say this, because, like, I do think that he is, like, his brain doesn't work. I don't know how else to say it. He is just, like, a very stupid guy. I love him for that reason. He's content, but he, I think, is actually a stupid person, okay? But it's crazy that it's like, it's not just him. So many people. Oh, yeah, I'm going to miss him when he's gone. I hope someone gives him a TV show or he starts doing YouTube. I hope. Something the Democrats don't realize Mamdani saved them from is that if Cuomo became mayor of New York, the party would have looked like massive hypocrites to male voters they're already struggling with. Liberals railing against microaggressions but exonerating a sexual harasser. I mean, I don't think the people care about that as much. And I don't think the Democrats care about that as well. They're hypocrites. They've always been hypocrites. It is very obvious that they only seemingly care about like these issues, not because of like any sort of moral consistency in mind, or not because of any justice in mind, but instead they use it as a way to take out whoever they see as a spoiler, as an ideological enemy. New York City mayoral polling. This is the worst poll I've seen for Mamdani, for the record, and it's probably not correct. Every other poll I've seen, it shows him at like 40%, and everybody else at like 20. Also, this is too low for Adams too. Yeah, this poll had Cuomo up 19 points in the primary. So whoever they're actually polling, not very good. How do you think the average person looks at the media getting stuck on the Intifada discourse? I don't even think it's something that people consider. I don't even think that they're like, it's gotten to a certain degree. It's gotten to a point where like, I don't even think people read it. Like people see it. I don't think people even see the Intifada stuff. They don't care. Like, him being anti-Semitic, sure, that has made like its rounds. I don't think people give a shit one way or another. Either they like legitimately don't care about anti-Semitism, or they just don't believe. And many people just don't believe he's anti-Semitic. He's just anti-Israel. And there's also a group of people that just simply don't care. Like, why would I care about this as it pertains to the New York mayoral? What is happening, bro? It's a big F, but we're back. There you go. Your ISP hates you. This wasn't an ISP. This is the bag. Don't worry, I fixed it. Stream is not delayed. I already fixed it. I already fixed the ingest. Where to cover this? Oh, this was awesome. The no Sharia law protest. I covered this yesterday. Yeah, some of the most psychotic individuals you've ever met are anti-Zoran. The hits keep coming. The hits keep coming, all of which is a positive for Zohran Mamdani. There was one other thing I wanted to. Oh, this. Zohran Mamdani said today that he would discourage the phrase globalized Intifada in a meeting with business elites, a step to diffuse Wall Street's suspicions of the mayoral frontrunner. First of all, what the fuck are Wall Street CEOs asking him about this? Secondly, other reporting from this meeting showed that he wasn't backing down from, his criticisms of Israel. So I don't know which one to believe here. Because Semaphore says he actually stood his ground. Tough meeting for Mamdani with the Partnership for New York CEOs today, I'm told, stood his ground on Intifada language and wouldn't commit to keeping the New York Police Department Commissioner Tisch, whom this crowd likes, in the job. Also did not recognize her father, Jim Tisch, when he rose for a question. Also, he was pressed on and said he would discourage the chant, but not the idea. I also don't care. He could literally be like, am Israel high in that meeting? I don't give a shit. Okay? Lie to them. Lie to the CEOs. Zohran Mamdani. Lie directly to their faces. Please. And then turn around and do whatever the you're going to do. Okay? That's my take. Which is so weird. It's like, what do you mean? Like Wall Street CEOs are like, we're really worried about anti-Semitism. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Put the stocks in the bag, bro. Do your job. What is this? What is this? Oh, this language, this dangerous language. Oh, I'm scared about how you are going to treat the beautiful nation state of Israel. It's like, you, man, shut up. Why do you care? You're an American CEO. Suck my dick. Yeah, imagine being the CEO of Pfizer and your top issue is complaining about the term genocide. Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla, who is Jewish, pressed Mamdani for throwing around the word genocide about the plight of Palestinians in Gaza under Israel, the second source said. But Mamdani evidently forged ahead smoothly. It was very frustrating. He speaks well, the source said, recounting Mamdani's responsible question about retail theft. What is happening? What is going on? What the fuck is happening? I'm the CEO of Pfizer, and I cannot believe that you said correctly that there is a genocide happening. What? You're the CEO of Pfizer. Even the Wall Street Journal article said they were impressed by his ability to work a crowd. Yeah, he's charismatic. They're mad he made a good argument. I don't know. I'm frustrated by it. Yeah, put the vaccines in the bag, bro. You're the CEO of Pfizer. Okay, keep making the children gay and autistic. Keep pushing. Worry about your own business, okay? Worry about your own business. We'll worry about ours, okay? Keep making the kids gay and autistic, dog. What the fuck are we paying you for? It's to make the next generation gay and autistic. Keep putting the vaccine in the bag. Stop with this shit. This is just hysteria. How can you be like an educated person in a position of tremendous power and privilege and just like still worry about this shit? I don't get it. I don't understand. Yeah, put the 5G chip in the bag, little bro. Vaccinate me so I can have an RFID chip implanted into my brain. Politico is reporting that it will clarify his position on globalized Intifada. Oh, God, I hope he doesn't concede on this shit. I hope he goes on that stage and says, actually, you know what? I've never said globalize the Intifada, but actually, I'm going to say it now. Globalize the Intifada, bitch. This is not a real issue. Please stop. Do not give in to this fake bullshit. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my Lord. Do not give them an inch, dude. Do not. They are manufacturing outrage. This man has done such a good job of just not leaning into this silly nonsense. The only question should be, why are you asking me this all the time, dude? Shut the up. ugh. The whole like trying to win over the establishment Dems is stupid. They do not like you. They do not care about you. The forces, the popular mobilization that caused you to win is because you went up against the establishment. The Democratic establishment is not going to turn around and defend you by going, oh, I guess this was just a simple disagreement. He doesn't like globalized the Intifada. No, tomorrow they're going to move on to 9/11. They're going to say, you did 9/11, dude, okay? Don't do this. It is a big mistake. You are not going to get the coveted Schumer endorsement with this, okay? You don't want the Chuck Schumer endorsement. Oh my God, this is literally, oh God. He concedes on this, they're going to move on to the next thing. If he just does not back down from this, then it doesn't matter. They just look like insane people. But if he concedes on this, then the media will use the fact that he conceded on this to move on to the next thing. And then they'll say, hey, we have a better position now because he recognizes he's up. You didn't up. This is literally media 101. Do not concede. We live in the post-Trump universe. Trump does actual shit. Trump does actual shit, and he never backs down. Do not back down. Attack the argument. Ask why this is even a pertinent discussion. Ask why he is constantly having to talk about this when he wants to talk about his policies. None of this actually helps New Yorkers' lives. I've made my position on anti-Semitism known, and I think that it's important for people to know that anti-Semitism is abhorrent. This conversation is not being done on the virtues of anti-Semitism. This is racial posturing. It's ridiculous. The reason why they are asking about this question over and over and over again is not because they want a real answer out of Zohran Mamdani. They're asking this question over and over again to basically you, okay? To only have you answer this, and then once you give them an inch, this is a major weakness. They will consistently keep hammering you on other shit that is anti-Semitic, that's not actually anti-Semitic at all, because you're Muslim and you're anti-Israel, dog. Come on. Come on. Don't this up. The moment that you give them an inch, they will keep hammering that same issue over and over and over and over and over again. And you will not talk about your policies. You will not be able to talk about what you want to do for New Yorkers. With my PR hat on, I think you should do a Jewish town hall like you did a trans town hall. It should be full of factual, normal people and not pundits. That, but also, this is what I said initially when the Bulwark stuff happened, okay? Get Norm Finkelstein. Get a bunch of anti-Zionist Holocaust survivors and just put them behind you and say, hey, what does the Holocaust Museum until 2024 called the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising? Have them say it was called the Warsaw Ghetto Intifada. That's it. It's done. Play the optics game if you want to play the optics game, but don't concede. It's so stupid. I said this literally as soon as the Bulwark shit happened, where I was like, oh God, who gives a... However, if he does actually play the Corbyn route, he'll get fucked. Do not take the bait, man. Do not. Many Jews believe it's bare minimum for Zoran to go beyond distancing himself personally from the language like globalized. The Intifada said an aide to the Jewish elected official granted anonymity to speak freely about a sensitive matter. This is not news. This is not a newsworthy situation. But if Zoran actually turns around and fucking concedes on this front, then it will be a newsworthy situation. He will have issued a condemnation for something that he should never have to condemn at all. Like, what do you mean globalized Intifada is a scary phrase for Jewish people? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize we shouldn't be saying Arabic terms because Jewish people are scared. What the fuck kind of racist bullshit is this? You're just painting all Jews as like insane racist people. Like, even if he says, oh, I plan to discourage people from using the phrase, then people go, why? Why? Then they ask the question, why do you plan to discourage them? But you don't actually You don't actually outright condemn it. It doesn't make sense, okay? It logically doesn't make sense because here's the thing. When you are a politician that is earnest, when you're a politician that's earnest and you traffic in the truth, okay? Here's the truth. Nobody gives a fuck about globalize the intifada as a phrase. It means globalize the uprising. It means fighting against injustice. That's it. It's Arabic, and that's why it scares people. Okay? There is no reason to, just because other people have established that in the media, that this is a scary thing to say, there's no reason to fucking give an inch off of this. It's the same with Black Lives Matter. It's the same thing with from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. There's no reason to concede on this because the moment of concession implies that you fucked up. And the real reason for why they want this extraction, they want this concession, is not because you're going to be clearing the fucking air about your position on this term. It's the same reason why they keep saying Zoran is an anti-Semite with no evidence whatsoever, or Zoran has no answer for growing anti-Semitism, when he has given an answer to growing anti-Semitism. It's to gum up the works. It's to make you constantly, like a bitch, respond to these ridiculous fucking questions. They're never going to stop. You cannot help someone arrive at a logical conclusion if they didn't use logic to get there. That's it. I know this from my experience, not in political campaigning, but as my experience as a fucking political commentator online in a very hostile environment. These people that come in here and go, why do you love terrorism? Just curious, are not actually invested in the truth. Now, there are things that I won't back down from, but there are things that I will explain because my job is to explain things to people. I'm not a politician. I'm a political commentator. My job is to literally explain complex political situations that are going on. And in that process, there are instances where I will pull a chatter with a reasonable concern that is actually unreasonable, but is masquerading as a reasonable concern, and we'll go the distance. We'll explain the thought process behind why I say certain things, for example. But I do that without conceding and without apologizing for some dumb shit that people want me to apologize over for no fucking reason. The reason why I do that is because my job is to explain. You are a politician. Every moment that you are not marketing yourself, every moment that you are not marketing your policies is a moment that you're losing, is a moment that you're wasting airtime. That's my least favorite thing you say. I did not come to right-wing views through reason, but reason sure as hell got me out of it. I understand what you're saying, but it's not true for everyone. No, logic doesn't hurt, but these people are not actually, you misunderstood me, or rather, I misspoke. I didn't explain my position well. These people are not actually invested in the truth. They're not like, oh, I maybe misunderstood Zoran. I maybe thought that he was anti-Semitic, but, as soon as he explained to me why he's not anti-Semitic, I'm going to understand and agree with him. No, the real reason why they want to fucking hit him with this is because he's anti-Israel. Okay? He's anti-Israel. They want him to be pro-Israel. Okay? They are bad faith. They are disingenuous. Now, are there people along the way that get swept away with this misinformation faucet? Absolutely. And for that reason, you should explain your positions clearly over and over again. But concessions are something entirely different. When you concede on something that is not wrong, you are making it a bigger problem. There is no reason for you to ever concede to bad faith individuals who are not actually invested in the truth, who have not arrived at their conclusion through logic. Okay? Why should you entertain the oftentimes racist hysterics of a group of people that will never agree with you? You should not do that, because that would require lying, and you shouldn't lie. You should not lie at all. You should say the truth. And the truth in this situation is that saying globalize the uprising and using the Arabic term for uprising, intifada, is not scary. Okay? You are the one using it after all. No matter how much they throw your way on this terminology, there is no reason to ever, there wasn't even a reason to be like, I don't use that phrase, but I don't condemn other people using that phrase. You don't even need to say that, especially considering that people's statements on Zoran have ranged from he doesn't use the term, but he doesn't condemn it, all the way to he wants to globalize the Intifada, which means doing a global jihad on all Jews. So why the fuck should you actually concede on that framework? When the reason for why they're launching these fucking fake questions disingenuously is to at best stop you from talking about what you want to talk about, and at worst smear you as a vicious anti-Semite. Yeah. Mamdani's refusal to condemn the phrase globalized Intifada would be a part of our discussion, Jeffrey said. Like, shut the fuck up. Jewish Democrats in Congress raised concerns about Zohran Mamdani's anti-Israel position. This is a more honest title because it's coming from the JTA. The Jewish Telegraphic Agency has no issue presenting anti-Israel as the peak of anti-Semitism because it's going to an audience that reads it as such. Okay? Whereas Politico has to hit it from an anti-Semitism line, Jewish Telegraphic Agency can openly state that this is, this is the worst thing he can be, which is anti-Israel. God, I hate Debbie Wall. In an interview, Norm literally said, "Don't repeat Corbyn's mistake about Zohran as a word of advice." It's true. If he concedes, then he's going the Corbyn route, and he might get cooked. Why don't articles focused on Mamdani's refusal to condemn the phrase Intifada ever mention the undisputed fact that the Holocaust Museum used the phrase to discuss the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising until 2024? I feel like even if you hate the phrase Intifada, you would find this undisputed fact interesting. It is a phrase that's terribly disturbing and potentially dangerous, as Debbie Wasserman Schultz says. Shouldn't there be an investigation into the U.S. Holocaust Museum? I mean, we're talking about a major U.S. Jewish institution here, one that aims to define the core Jewish tragedy of the 20th century. Does it not interest anyone that the phrase Intifada, that they used the phrase Intifada for years? Is there a feeling that because it was Arabic audiences only, it was fine? Or the current phrase that they use, Mukawama, okay, which is the same Arabic word that is the letter M in Hamas. Hamas is an acronym. The Islamic Resistance Movement is what Hamas is. Harakat al-Mukawama al-Islamiyya, okay? Right? I think I said it right. That's the M. They changed the word, globalize the Intifada to, not the word, sorry, globalize the Intifada, but they changed the word Warsaw Ghetto Intifada to Warsaw Ghetto Mukawama. It's stupid. It's stupid. It's silly. It's complete concern trolling. It's manufactured outrage. And I really hope he doesn't release any statement that's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for not saying that I would condemn globalize the Intifada." The Democratic nominee is expected to publicly refine his position after previously declining to condemn the slogan in multiple interviews and news conferences over the past month, even as he has denounced anti-Semitism more broadly. He has never stopped denouncing anti-Semitism, by the way. This is also inappropriate phrasing. They make it seem as though all the public pressure is what caused them to denounce anti-Semitism. That is not the truth. He has always been against anti-Semitism. His shift would come after meetings this week with Jewish elected officials and business community leaders. Mamdani is seeking to expand his support among the Democratic establishment as assuage fears running rampant in C-suites across the city. Mamdani's campaign did not comment Tuesday on any moves the candidate would make to clarify his position on the phrase, but some Democrats welcomed the step as a significant gesture. Many Jews believe it's the bare minimum for Zohran to go beyond distancing himself personally from the language like globalized Intifada. I'm done, dude. Anyone who makes an issue out of this, I'm done with you. Okay? This guy literally heard me even say the word Mukawama and Hamas and started instantly, like, it's got to be a bot, right? Hezbollah's official name is Mukawama Islamiyya fi Lubnan, Islamic Resistance in Lebanon. Why is this not loading? Immediately, it's like, whatever Israel's done, Hamas has done so much worse. No, they haven't. Okay? No, they haven't. Whatever Hamas, the acronym, stands for, they still kidnap hundreds of people on 10/7, spent months torturing and raping them afterwards. If Hamas is so bad, why do you have to lie about what they're doing? Israel isn't good, but defending Hamas is absurd. No, dude. Israel isn't just bad, okay? Israel is the worst party here. Israel is far more evil than anything Hamas could ever do, okay? That is God's honest fucking truth. You can hide that. You can lie about it. You can just keep posturing over how scary Hamas is over and over again. There is no comparison between Hamas and Israel. I have said this time and time again openly. I will continue saying this. It is just the truth. Israel is doing a genocide. Hamas has not done a genocide, nor attempted to do a genocide. Hamas is comprised of orphaned...
1 in 4% of their GDP on military.
Oh, so like NATO nations. So, oh, you mean like what Trump wants out of Scandinavian countries? Is that what you mean? Oh, damn. That's crazy, man. Also, 1 in 4% is wild.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's such a sad story that it could be real. Like, that could literally be a real story and I wouldn't know. Like, why didn't she make up a better story if she was going to make that up? Do we know China's position on the Kim dynasty? This video got me thinking about the party's thoughts, and I can't imagine they approve it as much despite being aligned with Western powers. What approve? They don't give off, dude. What do you mean? China cares very little about what kind of internal governance happens in countries that they're aligned with. What? They don't care at all, dude. Are they trading or not? Okay. They'll only care if the Kim dynasty no longer wants to trade. They're trade maxing. Do you understand?
5.
Let's hear from our favorite CIA agent, John
Point a camera at the Earth, 600 kilometers above the surface. It's pretty mesmerizing. But point it at the Korean Peninsula and you'll see this. South Korea is ablaze, but North Korea is almost totally dark. You've got this little point here for Pyongyang, the capital, but it's mostly a void. The black void tells a story of how the 25 million people live in this secretive kingdom of North Korea. But as the sun rises, we get to fill in the details. We get to see more. We get to see cities designed to control. We get to see an unfathomable amount of military installations, many of them burrowed into mountains, where they protect weapons, where the over 1 million soldiers endlessly prepare for war.
There's over 10,000 manned military installations. So air defense, bases, naval sites.
Bro, we really this country up. I swear to God. They are literally, they have designed every function of society against what already took place. Okay? To ensure that what took place never happens again. It is crazy. Yeah. Half of their shit's also underground, no? Like, they have a lot of tunnel systems in North Korea. I wonder why. I wonder why they designed half of their functions to be underground. I wonder.
You know, all that.
Same with Iran. It's like the same shit.
To Pennsylvania.
We see factories, lots of factories. We see these little islands of dense housing, which are the homes of the workers who are assigned here.
Oh my God. Okay, that's... Hey, yo. If you see this and you don't instantly think every country that is outside of America's sphere of influence needs nukes, I don't know what to tell you, okay? Yeah, they're building homes in factory towns for the workers that work in the factories, and they don't look like Gaza. You know what I mean? That's crazy. I wonder why they haven't been blown up. Perhaps because also, goddamn, America's cultural victory is so insane. This literally looks like a Houston suburb, okay? How the are these guys in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea basically building Houston-ass suburbs, bro? Are you kidding me? What the fuck is going on? They got McMansions in North Korea? How is this possible? I love how every time a video criticizes the lifestyles of an authoritarian country, it just describes our lifestyle. No, the difference is you don't get this state-sponsored housing in America. Jusha abundance mindset.
We see barriers, lots of barriers. Barriers meant to keep people in. And not just on the borders with neighbors, but also within the country itself. Checkpoints and barriers between provinces. I've been looking at every inch of North Korea because I want to understand how it actually works. I want to understand how the all-powerful leaders have designed this place and why. And I've been stumbling upon stuff that I never thought I'd see in North Korea. Ski resorts, an international children's camp, lots and lots of water slides, markets where people buy and sell things, schools and fields, fruit factories.
Why is that shocking, Jonald? They're a country. What do you think they were doing, man? Do you think they don't have the concept of fun in North Korea? Like what? Yeah, of course. Wow. Wow, they got water slides. Guys, this is shocking. Yeah, it's shocking to you if you think that like the North Korean people are the aliens or something. What the... Dude, what is happening? Wow. They got markets? They're engaging in commerce? They got a ski resort? What the... What's next, dude? They're eating food? You know, the same type of food that other human beings also eat? What is happening?
Coal shipments, limestone mines, burial grounds, prison camps in the cities and the mountains. Lots of strange-looking buildings, stadiums and tracks, sports fields, empty roads and empty squares, Christian churches, a turtle-shaped building, apartment blocks where rich people live. I mean, you stumble upon some pretty wild stuff when you just scour every inch of the satellite map. I've also been talking to experts who...
Okay, that's really disrespectful.
Churches, a turtle-shaped building, apartment blocks where rich people...
Apartment blocks where rich people live. This was a glorious moment for the glorious Democratic People's Republic of Korea, where after many, many years of dedicated service, Kim Jong-un gave this apartment as a gift to one of the most famous women on the planet, okay? I remember, I monitored the situation actively. I covered it on this broadcast when it happened. This was beautiful. Tears were shed. Look at this. A lifetime of service, dude. A lifetime of the Republic. Whom is this baller? She's the main lady. She's the main newscaster for DPRK. She's like the main, you know, the lady who sounds really aggressive when she's explaining things. We got to play one of her. We got to play one of yeah. Kim Jong-un gives Pyongyang flat to North Korean news anchor. The veteran news anchor who got a new riverside home. She told state media the Pyongyang flat was just like a hotel. Yeah, she's the main newscaster. Her family reportedly wept all night in gratitude. Yeah, Ri Chun-hee has read the news for North Korea's state network since 1971. 1971. Ri Chun-hee. Over her career, she's announced the death of the nation's ruler and its first weapons test. She's known and sometimes mocked overseas for a passionate tone delivering the news. Yeah, no mockery here, okay? I have great respect for one of my peers. As a newscaster here in the United States of America, newscaster recognized, this is, you know, I bow to the real, like Walter Cronkite is nothing in comparison to her. Kim Jong-un called her one of North Korea's treasures. He also gifted new flats to others loyal to him. The complex was finished ahead of late founder Kim Il-sung's 110th birthday on April 15th. Pyongyang could mark the anniversary with a weapons test, the U.S. has warned.
Welcome back to Leading Ladies of the North. Today we're looking at the party's most famous newscaster, Ri Chun-hee. Born into a poor family in 1943, he became North Korean media royalty due to loyalty to the party and her dependence on the state for survival. Her fealty and ideological credentials earned her enrollment at Pyongyang University of Theater and Film as a drama major. According to a 2009 edition of the North's chosen monthly magazine, her rise to fame was attributed to Kim Il-sung's warm love and faith in her broadcasting ability. Later, she was recruited by the state-run KCTV in 1971, where her theatrics suited North Korean broadcasting's heavy showmanship to convey different tones depending on the news being delivered. As the bugler for Kim Jong-un, he reserves a lofty proud tone when praising him and his developments and an invective tone when discussing the West. The party uses her over-the-top speaking style to spread government-controlled information, contributing to North Koreans' forced isolation and the infringement of the...
Yeah, more like she delivers the news, okay, and restores glory to this glorious nation. Chill.
Their fundamental human rights to free thought, expression, and access to reliable resources.
You don't have to add all that. Calm down, okay? She is the GOAT. And yeah. Anyway, let's keep going.
People live. I mean, you stumble upon some pretty wild stuff when you just scour every inch of the satellite map. I've also been talking to experts who spend their time looking at the map of North Korea, analyzing it day by day for decades. Their data has been really useful in all of this. And honestly, I'm starting to see North Korea in a totally different way. I think I've been exposed to a very specific version of this country. And that doesn't mean it's an inaccurate version.
Oh, this is a classic doco, isn't it?
사람들이 거양 지팡을
143, where is it? Where he talks about reunification
신념과 치가 이루어져야
through generations for our country to be strong.
텔레비 화면을 통해
I watched a movie on
보니까
TV.
이명훈 전사가
A soldier walked along the tracks
가는데 전기선이
and saw that the
끊어졌더란
overhead wire was broken.
끊어서
A cable
그
was lying on the tracks,
리루에 전기선이
emitting
닿아서 불이
sparks.
부쩍부쩍 나더구만. 그래서
Guys, don't worry. I speak Korean. That's why I can translate. And what did he
순간에
do?
그 전사가 어케는 자기 몸에 그
He took the cable,
전화선을
rolled it around himself,
떨어졌습니다.
and jumped on the track.
그건
Jumped off the tracks. He was killed, but averted the
앞에
danger from the
오던
train.
여객 열차는
I thought I would be proud if he were my
그
grandson.
전사가 내
If he
나는
gave his
너네
life for his
어려운
people
몸에서
and the
나라 이런 혁명적인
and became a
영웅이
revolutionary
되기를
hero.
난 기대한다. 난 부럽더라. 그
I was
전사가
very
내
envious.
손주가 됐으면
How nice
얼마나
it would be if the hero were my grandson. Okay, guys, stop saying thanks for reading the subtitles. I'm not watching. I'm not reading the subtitles. I'm directly translating. I can speak Korean of the northern variety, okay? It's not North Korea, it's north of Korea. One Korea. 주격. Does the younger generation think about reunification?
네,
Yes, we think about reunification.
이민 경제도 그렇고 해서 유럽 부문에 이거
Also, in terms of
이제
economic
통일이
development
되면,
possibilities,
통일이 되면
I think
더
the
잘
economic
살 수 있는
possibilities would be
그런
very high. But
서로서로
firstly, the leader and the
우리
general
시장님께서 장모님께서 이거 조국
think of
통일에
reunification very
말씀하셨는데
often
이
too.
문제 우리 대해서 해결 못하게
If we, the
되면
younger generation, don't
그럼
achieve reunification, then we can't realize the legacy of our leader. I'm gonna keep it at $1.50 with you. A lot of the Jusha enjoyers are gonna get mad at me for saying this. I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think the leadership cares too much about reunification. I mean, they might say that they do in public, but I feel like they've calcified and hardened their stance as like the entity that kind of derives its power from the restrictions that they have at the global stage. One might assume that it is partially because of a necessity, partially born out of DPRK's history of being dominated and destroyed, genocided by Western forces. But I do think that there is beyond pragmatism. I think that it's more so a self-interested attitude as well. I also don't even understand how like a reunification would happen, considering that South Korea is literally a holdover state that is still completely maintained with full-blown American military invasion. It is a captive state that has a ton of American soldiers. It's just like, how would there be any real reunification? Would America peacefully leave? I don't think so. Korea Gate? No. I mean, it is a vassal. It is a vassal state. Why would they do that? I don't know. Because they were one nation, There are factions. Some want an end to the war and sanctions. They want to develop economic cooperation with the U.S. and West balances out Chinese influence and dependence. Others want war for reunification, and others want to maintain the status quo. I think that in a very weird, twisted way, the American sanctions regime has ended up solidifying the dynastic power that the Kim family has. In spite of it all, they've been able to do something unimaginable. Against all odds, they've still survived, which is, still something to, it's not, like the fact that DPRK does not resemble Korea, despite similar levels of intervention, maybe not to the same severity, maybe not to the same degree, maybe not for as long of a historic period as Haiti was clearly directly disrupted, maybe due to the proximity of DPRK as opposed to Haiti being much closer to the United States and immediate Western powers. But like, it should resemble Somalia or it should resemble Haiti, all things considered. They were genocided. So the fact that they still have a independent nation state that's reliant on initially the USSR for redevelopment and all trade, and then now reliant both on Russia and China. The fact that they still exist is crazy. I don't think that word, wait, what? South Korea has over 20 times the troops as the U.S. If they wanted to, they could easily kick the U.S. troops out. I don't think that word means what you think it means. What? What word? That's so funny. Yeah. Easily, South Korea would kick out the U.S. troops. Yeah. Well, Haiti was twice invaded twice by the Americans, and Haiti was president was deposed in 1991 and 2004. Yeah, the only thing that I'm talking about is like, dude, the famine after the dissolution of the USSR was a death sentence. The very fact that there are still people living in North Korea is insane. I don't think we understand. Like, I often will talk about Cuba existing and surviving in spite of the crippling economic sanctions, okay? In direct, close proximity to the United States, the most violent power on the planet. It is pretty crazy that North Korea still exists, let alone has been able to overcome tremendous struggle, tremendous odds. It is fascinating.
이게 제일 우선 가슴이 아프기 때문에 우리가 그걸 생각하고 그러면 이렇게 북한함이
Yeah, the most depraved part of the famine was that America put further sanctions on North Korea when it happened. We really are the great Satan. Yeah. At numerous different points in North Korean history, America could have just been like, we're going to give you aid. We're so sorry. We're coming in with the recognition. We're coming in with the recognition that, like, we really up. We're sorry. We're going to give you aid. We're going to allow you to openly work around the globe as like a normal country. And you know, we're going to help you out. They didn't do that. Like, not even to give aid, but to like lift the sanctions alone would probably play a big role in destabilizing DPRK, or at least like the current dynastic political structure of the DPRK. It's kind of crazy.
통일된 후에 뭐 여러 가지 문제가 많이 돼갔죠. 뭐 되는데 전체 인민 대중이 이게 하나로 이렇게 마음이 다 지향하고 이게 결합되게 되면 그거는 힘들지 않다고. 핏줄이 같고 언어가 같고 살색과 이건 다 풍습도 같은데 자연히 우리는 한결이기 때문에 통일만 되게 되면 서로 무슨 대항하는 데서 뭐 이런 데서 뭐 오색하거나 뭐 이런 게 없을 것 같은. 자연히 난 오히려 우리 여기서 우리 아파트에서 저 옆에 아파트 만나는 사람보다 더 반가울 것 같습니다.
Okay, he's just talking about we're one people.
But it's just one version. Today I want to show you a deeper version. Now the map can't tell us everything, but I'm seeing how it can fill in the blanks in my knowledge of how.
Just get looted by Kim and his associates? Or is it actually better as a destabilizing force to oust the Kim dynasty? Americans only have one speed, bro. I swear to God. This is literally one speed. I wasn't saying lifting the sanctions as a means to, I don't know, disrupt the North Korean form of governance. I was simply thinking about it on humanitarian grounds with a potential for it to destabilize the dynastic rule that the Kim family has over the DPRK. But immediately Americans have to be like, wait, what's in it for us? Maybe through this aid, we could just, I don't know, destroy the Korean government and overthrow it. Otherwise, what if we just give them aid and then what? Kim gets fatter? Like, what's going to happen? What more can he do to loot the aid, chatter? Think about it. He's already fat. What's he going to get? Fatter? What's going to happen? He already loves Gouda cheese, famously.
How this country actually works, broadening my perspective on this most secretive kingdom in our world. So buckle up and let's get ready to look at this map. I mean, this whole country is under one giant surveillance. And I guess while we're talking about surveillance, let's talk about the sponsor of today's video, which has a lot to do with surveillance, because all of us are actually surveilled, whether we like it or not. I guess if we're on the internet, which you're on the internet right now, so you're being surveilled. A very lucrative industry in today's world is that of being a data broker.
He's like, not the people that fund me, but you are surveilled. Not the people that fund me don't surveil you, but you are being surveilled.
People collect information about where you live, what you do on the internet, how old you are, what your birthday is, a million different things. And then they buy and sell that information on an open market, secretly. You don't know this is happening. They sell this stuff to advertisers, insurers, even those sketchy people search sites. And even though this sounds sketchy, it's all technically very legal. But you know what else is legal? Asking these data brokers to take your name off of their lists so that you don't get junk mail and robocalls and text messages and have your insurance premiums jacked up. So Incogni is the sponsor of today's video, and that is their entire business. I signed up for Incogni a while back. I gave them permission to act on my behalf to go out and make these requests for me, because there's no way I could actually have the time to do it. A few years ago, I actually tried to do it myself and made a whole video about it and admitted defeat. That was even before Incogni even existed. But now Incogni exists, and so I use them. Here, I'm logging into Incogni to show you. Boom. So, I mean, check this out. They've given me this dashboard where I just get to sit back and watch. Since I started in March of 2023, they have sent out 779 requests to get me off these data broker lists. And of those, 643 have been successful. 643, that's a lot. I mean, you can even see the actual companies that they are requesting to get your name taken off of. There's a lot of them. This has been a very successful thing for me, and that's why I'm a big fan of it, Incogni, and why I love that they come sponsor videos. Incogni just launched this new feature, the Unlimited plan, where you can get removed from any site, data broker or not. So if you want to get in on this, you can use the link in my description, get a big discount. It's incogni.com/Johnny Harris. If you use that link, you support this channel. Like, it's a good thing for me if you do that. And then you also get 60% off this plan. Oh, and I think you have to use the code Johnny Harris at checkout. Don't forget to do that. It may auto-populate, but it may not. Use the link incogni.com/Johnny Harris. Thank you, Incogni, for sponsoring today's video and being a longtime partner of the channel. And with that, let's dive back in to the map. I mean, first things first, North Korea is a beautiful country.
North Korea is usually viewed as, this hellscape of a place, but it's actually really beautiful. Lots of mountains and hills and rare animals and everything.
It's home to this huge mountain range. Among these rugged mountains, you've got this volcano.
I thought I subbed not to see the ads. Bitch, you're not even subscribed right now, which you can, by the way. The Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you and only you, the viewers. Also, the glorious nation of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. One day, Marxist-Leninist Juche's principles will rise up and overtake the entire planet. Your voluntary contributions are the only way to support the Piker Broadcasting Service. The Piker Broadcasting Service is funded by you, the viewers, for you, the viewers. Thank you.
Mount Paektu. It's kind of a sacred spot for North Koreans. It's where their legends say their great leader Kim Jong-il was born. Incidentally, it's right on this border, actually. Half of Mount Paektu is on the Chinese side. China, North Korea. North Korea can get really cold and snowy. It's home to between 20 and 30 million people. It's about half as many as live in South Korea. Entities that created these two Koreas and in the process turned what is now North Korea into dust.
Okay.
Today, North Korea is built around a few major cities. Here's the 10 most populous. Some have ports, some are up on the border with China, and then there's the...
With another 100 gifted subs. Thank you for your service, American streamer man, to the great nation of North Korea, Kim Jong-il. Korean is an 81-month subscriber. Look at that. One of the few to get the sub badge that looks like this.
This river city of Pyongyang. This is the capital. A lot of this had to be redesigned from scratch because the country was destroyed in the Korean War. The country itself is designed in line with this North Korean communist ideology of a human body. The great leader is the brain, and then the members of his single-party government represents the nervous system that connects his will to the masses. The masses are the bones and the muscle, the ones who carry out the work of building this country. The country is supposed to act as one, serving the will of the brain, the great leader. And what I'm seeing is that this kind of body configuration allows them to do some pretty unique things. First and foremost, military. Most countries spend between...
Bro just described urban planning, city planning, and planning of the state as like a unique entity. I don't understand what's so different.
1 in 4% of their GDP on military.
Oh, so like NATO nations. So, oh, you mean like what Trump wants out of Scandinavian countries? Is that what you mean? Oh, damn. That's crazy, man. Also, 1 in 4% is wild. That's kind of a big swing, don't you think?
North Korea spends between 20...
Oh, he wasn't saying he wasn't saying NATO. He wasn't saying other countries spend 1 in 4%. He's saying Korea spends 20 to 25%
of their GDP on
my bad.
Military. And we've got the data on what that looks like. Whoa. okay. Settle down, big boy. Oh, God. Look at this. Oh, my Lord. Look at this.
My mistake.
I don't think I've ever seen so many yellow push pins in my life. It kind of reminds me of that map of...
Where's he getting this info from, bro? I swear to God, he's CIA.
Like saunas in Finland, places like a fortress. You can see that a lot of this is concentrated down here on their southern border. This is the DMZ. It's actually a 4-kilometer thick border. And technically with...
As I said this earlier, we have fucked this country up and left it in a state of disrepair. Like you only do this if you are brain broken. Probably because 30% of the North Korean population is serving in reserve / paramilitary capacity. We have fucked this country up. And that is the reason why the only way that they believe that they can have sovereignty is so that they never allow what America and Western nations did to North Korea ever happen ever again.
Within this 4 kilometers, there's supposed to be no military stuff. That is, if you don't count the thousands of landmines that are there left over from the Korean War and that North Korea continues to plant. But in terms of weapons, most of it is right here on the border of the DMZ, where North Korea has 900 artillery guns that are aimed right at Seoul, South Korea. In the event of a conflict, these guns could fire 10,000 rounds a minute at South Korea, which would make good on their promise to turn South Korea into a sea of fire, which they often make towards their southerly neighbor. Now, a reminder, it's not just North Korea. If we were mapping American or South Korean military assets, you'd see a lot of those too on the southern side, down here. But we are looking at North Korea right now.
Yeah, don't.
You got underground bunkers, missile launch sites, nuclear reactors.
Why doesn't China help out? Wait, what do you mean they do? China is responsible for damn near the entirety of trade with North Korea. North Korea and South Korea not reunifying is also kind of good for China as well. I mean, I don't know if China would give a shit or not, ultimately. Clearly, they are perfectly happy with dealing with other countries in their backyard that are vassal states. I mean, look at Japan. You know, China is a major trade partner to Japan. But I think, like, the way China sees it as a buffer state, DPRK is a buffer state between American ambitions and China. They're not allies. North Korea and China don't trust each other since Korea was aligned with Moscow and still is. Okay, but fucking Moscow is aligned with China. And also, China, what are you talking about? China is their fucking entry point into the world, dude. No, that's not. I don't think you're correct as far as like North Korea doesn't trust China. China is literally without China, the DPRK has no economy, no commerce. DPRK is calling the shots. China is a small player in the region comparatively. True. True. DPRK is China's Israel? No, that's Pakistan. Pakistan is China's Israel, not DPRK.
Airstrips, naval bases. So you've got the thousands of landmines. And of course, this little pavilion where soldiers from both sides stand meters apart. This is where the countries have their diplomatic talks. You've got 1,000 observation posts, 300 checkpoints and roadblocks, tons of military facilities that support the soldiers here. And then of course, tunnels. Man, you're gonna see a lot of underground stuff here.